All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lavicast. I'm your host, Lavi Ray, here with my two fellow co-hosts, Ian Waffles and Derpaduh. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, doing well. Thanks for having me as usual.
All right.
As for me,
Yeah. And that was a really well-timed yawn, Derp, because we're going to be continuing. I mean, not Derp. That was a really good timed yawn, Waffles, because we're going to be talking about all of Sonic IDW for the rest of 2013. Yay!
2013, that sucks. Can we
Like,
get to 2023?
Okay. Okay, for the record, I just adopted a new Labrador puppy and I'm sleep deprived. So I'm catching up on that now. So sorry about that. We're catching up
And
on
then you were made to read these? Oh, that's even worse. They put you
No. Okay.
I was made to read. What are you on about?
What do you mean made to read? I told
You guys dragged me here.
No, we didn't. You chose to.
You put a sniper on a roof, and you were like, "Yo, if you don't read in 24 hours, you get the bullet."
boy. So what are we talking about? What happens?
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about everything that's happened with Sonic IDW for 2023. And we're going to be covering everything from issues 62 to 67, as well as covering the three seasonal specials, the Endless Summer, Halloween special, and the Winter Jam. So let's go ahead and get things started out with the first handful, issue 62, which starts the beginning of the Amy and Knuckles story, as well as setting up everything for the imposter among us. So let's talk about let's start with the Amy and Knuckles stuff. So at the end of Urban Warfare, Amy ends up getting a relic from Rouge in order to that is supposed to be an Echidna item, and she tries to go over to Angel Island in order to give that to Knuckles. So we end up kicking off in that story, and I'm gonna be blunt. This was probably one of the most boring. Probably one of the most nothing stories of everything in the main line. I think the only thing that becomes even less nothing are in the holiday special, but we'll get to that later. But like, do you guys have anything else to say about this about the Knuckles and Amy story? Because I barely remember anything with this one.
I mean, for me, it kind of represents a lot of what the main problems are with the core like the main Sonic game characters in the series, which is that you have Knuckles and Amy hanging out, and the most they can kind of really get out of each other is just kind of like, "Hey, Knuckles, I like you," and he's like, "Well, I like you too." And it's like that's kind of the most we're really gonna get, because as Flynn and whoever ends up writing Knuckles will always do, a character will come up and be like, "Knuckles, could you please come back to the main story and do literally fucking anything?" And he goes, "I'll think about it, but I won't." And then, and that's kind of his perpetual character. And so all you really kind of get out of it is just, I guess, if you like Knuckles already and if you like Amy already, it is nice to see them go, "Hey, we like each other too." But often I just find, like, especially with the dialogue in this story, it just felt very much like most of it was just either characters expositing what was happening, or just kind of just doing like the most basic version of what they could be interacting with each other for. So you have like, Amy's just like, "Oh, this island's really beautiful. This is this thing." She makes a little face and is like, "I don't understand what it is." A lot of it just kind of feels very just, I don't know, it just feels very tepid. I want the characters to kind of have a little bit more of a dynamic than we kind of like each other. And the reason this is kind of an extension of the series as a whole is that you can have those kind of dynamics. Oftentimes, some of my favorite characters in stories are the ones who are just kind of like the normies, or the characters who, like, their dynamic is they're just kind of vibing. But that only really works when it's a contrast to something else. And Knuckles doesn't really have any other dynamic with anyone but Sonic, who he is only mildly like rude to, like they kind of have a little bit of a banter. So him kind of having a little bit of a banter to Amy, but he's willing to say, "I like you, we're cool." It doesn't do much for me. It just kind of feels like, yeah, okay, all these characters, they are generally agreeable. They all generally like each other, and they don't have too much wit. They don't have too much like over the top reactions to make it funny. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's just kind of tepid. And so that to me is kind of the embodiment of this Knuckles and Amy story. It's just not even fine. It's just kind of like, yep, it sure does exist. If I already like these characters, I sure do get to see more of them. Do I get to see them doing anything that special? Do I get to see anything that really shows much about their dynamic? Do I get anything like that? Not really. So to me, it's a bore, really.
Yeah, and I concur with that. Like the whole thing just felt like one big. Do you remember Angel Island? Well, here's one big sightseeing trip, and I'd be lying if it wasn't mildly nice to see Amy and Knuckles interact. I think there was like one or two cute scenes in there, but for the most part, it really was just very boring. And I'm trying to find something nice to say, but then there's like little things that annoy me, like oh yeah, the Rouge line from the previous issue, where Rouge says something to Amy like, "Tell Knuckles he owes me one," and then Amy proceeds to just forget about that.
Well, because it doesn't mean anything. Like it's not going to go anywhere.
I know, but like, what if? What if that went somewhere?
No, I get what you mean. It's like, and again, it's an extension of like, just nothing matters. We're just fucking around, nothing, whatever.
And like the same goes for like the Relic, because I was like, a while ago,
what is this thing? Yeah,
a while ago, Lavi told me about the like plot premise, and I'm like, oh, Relic, what's that about? Is that like, oh, is that gonna like expand on the Echidna lore, and we're gonna get some like world building stuff?
Yeah. And then come to find out, it means nothing.
Yeah, and to clarify, guys, it's not even a matter of like, oh, does it mean anything deep? Does it mean? It's like it just literally is a thing from his island. The end.
It's like one out of two pieces for a trap to like disable it.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't mean anything in terms of like, it's not even like cool. It's like let's think of something. Let's say like, which I'm sure Sega wouldn't allow, but whatever.
Imagine
that's not my fault. Let's say he had the relic and they found the piece or whatever, and they were like, oh, like this seems like this is where it goes. And let's just say like a building just fucking popped up, and like they go inside and it like it has like maybe something that looks like, a person might have lived there once, not like recently, but like, oh, this was like someone's home. And then they could maybe even make a joke about like, it looks like we found someone's house keys. And then, maybe there could be a thing about like, oh, like you could, maybe you could start renting these out to people, like just anything. And then overall it could be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But it is really, sometimes I feel really alone up here, but it is, and I often forget that, this isn't just mine home. This was someone else's home. And that's why I want to protect it. Because that's a beautiful.
It's like if they took
story.
It's like if they took Indiana Jones and instead of taking like the golden thing from the temple, the dude returns it so the boulder won't fall.
Yeah, or it's like
what's
boring.
This isn't interesting. This isn't interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, again, I don't need anything groundbreaking, but like that's what I mean. It's like that. It's like, is that kind of a story? Just something as simple as Knuckles by the end of this learns that, what, this home has a little more, that my island has more value to me, just even a little bit. Something that simple can't even be done because all we're doing is, oh, this goes to like a trap. And my friend who I trust you. And she's like, ah, thanks, Knuckles. The end.
And here's the thing, you could get around that if you just made the premise or whatever the story's supposed to be about, at least just over the top or compelling enough on its own.
Or the dialogue to make it funny or charming.
Yeah, like they end up like let's just pretend Frontiers is a completely different beast, because I'm going to be blunt, until the game say something that is unavoidably referencing something from IDW, I'm considering they're two different canons. Be damned, whatever, like some rando on the Sonic channel ends up saying. Let's go and just say that Knuckles does have a full understanding of everything going on in the island. Then maybe we need to come up with some like interesting twist going around, like maybe like some type of effect, like something going around with this premise that could just make the story that could make the story or whatever the conflict's supposed to be stand out. Because them just going around to return an item, like, okay, like, are they going to have to go through like some go through anything interesting that you actually have to like push what their abilities are to do, or they have to come up with creative ways to deal with it? No. Do we have to like explore their dynamic in any real way? Not really. So what's even the point of doing this other than just going, hey guys, you want to see Knuckles and Amy in a story together? Here you go.
Yeah. Or is it to tell jokes, like using the island, like the island is wacky,
Yeah.
Or, like Amy's not used to it around here, so like she keeps falling for like ridiculous things or whatever. Or maybe it's just anything. It's like no, it's just Knuckles and Amy hang out, and then you'll forget about it because what's there to remember? The only thing to remember is the scene where they fall, and then they both know like, I trust you in a fight. And it's like, yep, that of course, duh, hello. it's like who cares? So yeah, it really So that's all I really have to say for it. I know if you want, like, here's the thing: there is one angle to which you can appreciate it, which is if you do like it for fan service, like, because for example, Game Apologist, he made a video on this little two-parter, and he goes into a lot of the details that are like game related, where it's kind of talking about like there's like a little scene where she like pops up out of the ground and she's using one of those little things from Hydrosity, or like the way it's like all connected through the island. So just like little things like that where it's like, oh, this is from a game I really like, and I'm getting to see kind of like those little details come to life and how they connect. Or like the statue or whatever is kind of like one of the ones from those games. It's good on like the way I would describe it, it's like it's good on the art book level where it's like, oh, like I really like this level from this game, but wouldn't it be really cool to kind of like see a different side of it, not just from like this 2D perspective? Well, here's a pretty art book that shows the concept art for it. And this is kind of the equivalent of that. Here's like a little art book that shows like the characters kind of like interacting in that environment, and you kind of get to see it from a different angle. That is literally like the most value I can give to it, is that if you already liked the idea, if you already liked the levels of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, then hey, it's kind of cool that you get to see how it connects in like more of a 3-dimensional space. The end. Like that's all I got.
I hope you have that same exact speech ready, because I swear I think you're gonna say the exact same thing for the Sonaze issue later.
Guess we'll have to see. But yeah, that's all I have for this. That's all I have for this.
That's it. Yeah, that's the next one. But before we get there, we have to cover the B plot of this story, which is.
So I'll ask you this: would you rather hit all of the useless A plots and then talk about the B plot, which is really the main plot?
Let's talk about let's talk about all the superfluous plots first. Let's just knock that out. So we'll talk about the A plot of 63 in a second, but let's go ahead and knock out Sonaze since Derp brought that up.
Yeah, go ahead, Derp.
I like Sonaze. That is the only reason why I don't hate this. Because otherwise it's just really boring. It's just
You're like the fan service worked on me, damn it.
Like the fan service kind of worked on me. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I so want to be like, oh, this is bad. Oh, this has nothing going for it. But I'm like, oh, Sonic and Blaze standing together. It's doing things. Well, they hold hands, and she blushes. They hold hands.
They stand on a clock. Here's the thing.
It's so lewd. It's so damn lewd.
She blushes. Yeah, no, I mean, again, I don't really have too deep of thoughts on this one either other than it's kind of the same as the Knuckles and Amy one. Their dynamic mostly just they're hanging out, and Sonic's like, "Hey, Blaze, go on vacation," and she's like, "Whoa, I've never heard that before." And then she's like, "Sonic's really cool," and they run around. Obviously, it's kind of lame that like they're in Spagonia and there's no fucking people whatsoever.
That
kind of feels really creepy.
They. In a following issue, they mention Soliana, and in issue 67, they mention Missouri. They exist, but we don't see any humans.
Well, we don't see anyone. We don't even see animal people. Like that's what's creepy about it. Because I think Blaze has a few flashbacks in here where she's talking about like things she's done in this world. And I'm pretty sure like there's no people in any of them.
Yep, Ghost City. It's a ghost town.
Yeah, they just live in ghost town. So that's just like a minor thing, but it's just like holy shit.
If you don't like Sonaze, I feel like you get very little out of this. Like,
yeah, I mean, because like for example, that little panel of like her warming up Sonic, it's like, whoa, I like Sonic and Blaze. That's kind of cute. And it's like, sure, like I don't personally care, but like I'm not gonna fucking be like I'm immune to that kind of stuff. But I think like for me, this story just does nothing. Like it just feels like Sonic and Blaze hang out. Sonic goes, hey, Vector's cool. Blaze goes, hey, I like you, Sonic. You're cool. And he goes, well, thank you, and then that's it. And like obviously that could be a real story, you know, that's very much simplifying it. But what I'm saying is that is to me all I can get out of the story is that very bare bones premise. I don't get anything out of this.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who, while does like Sonaze, is immune to this shit, let me rip into this.
Yeah, go for
First
it.
off, I'm not saying that if you don't like Sonaze, you should hate this. I absolutely find this frustrating because one, not only is this already retreading something that we were already dealing with in Blaze's last appearance, because the whole point of her interacting with Knuckles was literally to get the exact same speech. So I'm like, why are we doing this a second time? But worse, why does she need to be told what a vacation is? Like, I get the idea of like she has been driven to be a workaholic. She has been assigned to not only be a princess of an entire kingdom, but she's also the guardian of the soul emeralds, has all this responsibility on her, and she might not be as willing to take a break. But it's like, I don't feel like she should be like so oblivious to the concept. It should just be to the idea of like she feels this desperate need to always have to be on call, and because usually the cliche in the situation is the person ends up running themselves ragged, and people have to tell them, "Hey, go take a break because you are not being because just committing yourself 24/7 it doesn't mean that you're always going to be putting out good work, or you're just running yourself out and not being able to be productive in places that you should be." But here is just, I'm done with everything. All the evil in my world is defeated. What do I do now? A vacation? What is that?
Well,
so I'm like,
Yeah, so I was gonna say, and you can finish, and then I was gonna build off it.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it. What were you about to say?
So to build off that, like to me, like it's the other way to look at it would be like, what does it mean for Blaze to go on a vacation, or what does it mean for Blaze to not have to do work anymore? Because the most we've seen is that one scene where she like takes out like a pirate captain or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the story, as usual, does not even the bare minimum to just establish why we should care that Blaze is getting time off, or like if Blaze was having fun with Sonic, that is not contrasted by anything in the story, because all we see is her blow up the pirate guys and she's like, you're gone or whatever. So if we had gotten a story where it was like Blaze is like we show like a week in Blaze, like a day in Blaze's life or something, and it's just like, and they even maybe had a clock, right? And so they would use a clock, and it would be like at this moment in time she's doing this, and then it would be like 20 minutes later she's doing this, and then it's like an hour later she's doing this, and it's like you just see that, oh wow, Blaze's life is super, super busy. And maybe you had established that, but then you had to set up this idea of like she comes to some sort of like, this would be earlier, like you would establish like Blaze, this is what her life is like, and you might be like, wow, that's really like busy. But then you would get a really good moment for Blaze where it's like, oh, but it's all worth it because of maybe she sees like a really happy village, or because like someone smiles at her. And it's like, wow, that's like a nice little tiny little B story. Like it would be like in like an annual or whatever. You give this tiny little like 6-page story just showing that like, wow, Blaze is like really looks out for people. You know, even when she's run ragged, the art could help that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So you set that up. We know what it means that to happen. So then we could then come to this story where they're literally running around like a clock or whatever. And you could have this idea of like, yeah, she's vanquished all the evil. And now she's like, I don't know how to like kind of sit still, or I don't know what my purpose needs to be. And then she gets on the clock, and then she kind of looks out, and they have like maybe just a silent panel of her just like looking at the beautiful streets. Hopefully there would be fucking people there. And she'd be like, I guess I never really thought about that, Sonic, that you can just stop. Weird that that's coming from you, someone who never stops moving. And it's like, well, you have a really weird impression of me if you think I never stop moving. Do you ever think of the world we get to save and how beautiful it is? It's not just the people and the thrills. It's blah, blah, blah. It's like you do something with that, like you have to show me why it matters that Blaze is getting a vacation. And they don't do any of that. They just tell you.
Or even better, here's a brain blast for you. What about actually having a story about her being on a vacation and actually like learning and actually showing her actually finding things to enjoy, instead of having her just get monologue to Sonic about what it means to go on a vacation for the second time? Yeah,
that might be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe see her try and get a hobby or something.
Yeah. If we're
We
gonna
get
go
we get like a goofy montage of her like failing different things, but by the end of the story, she like finds something she's really into, and it gives us like an extra layer to the character that we might not have had before.
Yeah, like you just have to give meaning to it, and there's no meaning outside of, hey, Blaze, she works real hard, she doesn't know how to relax, she's learning to relax, and that's all we get because they don't show that to us, and so it's not meaningful. There's no character thing there's no, like, this is what I always care about, is like I care about the characters. So if I'm thinking of like, wow, Blaze learns to enjoy a vacation, it's like, whoa, my memories of that, oh, it's her talking to people. Like there's no visual I think of, there's no like specific piece of dialogue that really stands out, there's no like thing she does, there's no like quirky little thing that we learn about her. No, it's just they talk about it, and apparently now we're good. Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, to build on real quick. So one of the main criticisms that's mainly been coming out of IDW, even from like certain fans, has been about how Sonic talks too much. And I'm not a big fan of this because I feel like that kind of misses the point. I'm fine with Sonic being able to expand on what be able to say what he's thinking, actually be able to like participate in conversations, have back and forth. That's totally fine. But the reason why that comes up, especially when it comes to IDW, is that that's all they really do. A lot of it is just relying so much on just the characters saying or just exposing information to the audience, especially coming out of Sonic's mouth, instead of actually, doing things in the story, actually having the events matter in story. So instead of like finding ways like, okay, we need to trim like a sentence here or a couple words out of the line, the problem is the mentality behind the whole series, especially when it comes to Flynn, is actually have the characters doing the things that they're supposed to be talking about, doing the things that we are meant to get mostly engaged in, not just having constant conversations about it.
Or if they're gonna talk, pair it with them doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, it really does feel like they exposit and monologue way too much at times.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I have for this little story.
Yeah, same. Derp, you're the Sonaze. You're the Sonaze, man. Anything else, guys?
I like Sonaze, but like if you ask me critically, I'm like, well, there's references. If you like those, I guess this is good for you. Like there's the Sonic X.
Let's be blunt. That's IDW in a nut. That's IDW Sonic in a nutshell. If you this comic is
like
for
the
you.
Sonic X Amy outfit on the beach, and there's the Mania bar. Like whoa, it's the thing I know. Like if you like that stuff, then I guess it's a good issue for you. But unless you're a Sonaze fan, this is pretty meh for you, I imagine.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to the A plot that goes through the next 3 issues. We'll rewind back here. So, you guys remember Clutch, right?
Yeah. The guy that got sidelined in his own arc.
Twice. Yeah, this clown. So
not a first time they do this.
Yeah. So apparently he's getting outclassed. He wants to run a whole industry about taking all of the junked robotic parts that Eggman from all of Eggman's old bots, and his secret plan is to recycle them so he can make his own robots so he can use them to take over the world. I'll get to that. We'll get to that. But apparently he's getting outclassed by the Restoration that's run by 4 teenage girls, and they do it for free, which I'm gonna be blunt. That says more about how incompetent he is as a businessman than it does anything else.
Oh yeah.
But so his sneaky plan is he wants to hire Mimic to go in and actually take the Restoration down from the inside out. And how do I put this? This has got to be, if there's any sign that the IDW has done the worst job of creating new villains. Like, and to be clear, I want Sonic to have more villains. I do. I hate the idea of Sonic's only antagonist being Eggman. He should have multiple antagonists that he faces throughout. I don't think they should all be as omnipresent as Eggman. But yeah, have them have multiple antagonists that come up over the course of the series. Yeah. But if there's any sign that they've been doing the most piss poor job of setting up their antagonists, it should be having to pair these two together. First off, Clutch, as mob bosses go, is easily one of the worst examples of this I've ever seen. Like between Kingpin, between like Kingpin from like literally almost anything, but especially when it comes to him being like in Daredevil, or when it comes to
Netflix.
Yeah, it's Netflix to be clear. When it comes to
Penguin from Batman.
Oh, who from Batman?
Penguin.
Penguin from Batman.
Also Falcones and I forget the other guys, but there's a few in Batman.
Because the one thing that you have to do with your mob bosses is even if they aren't the big action villains, they need to have the industry underneath them. They need to have a whole army of people who can fight underneath them in order to like show how much of a threat they could be.
Yeah, the point is that they're like a society villain. Like they're the culmination of like the darkness of society, and they're usually like businessmen or whatever. And they understand like their role and like how much power they have, and they can use that over people, and they enjoy that, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This guy,
nothing. He has
literally nothing. And the thing he is trying to destroy, I remind you, is the mall. Like because the characters don't have homes, they don't have family members, they don't have any characters who could like get hurt, or anything they care about that could get hurt, that has any sentimental value. The closest we have to that is like Silver's fucking garden, which is not under threat here. So, which it wouldn't even be a big deal because like it's never been mentioned again. But like that's the closest sentimental value that anything has. So I remind you, he's like a guy who has like no power and all this shit. He's not a good fighter, obviously. And then 2 or in 3, the thing at stake here is that he will destroy the mall. That's it. And maybe some innocent people will run from robots. Like,
Which, coming back to that, between Starline, these guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Surge and Kit were also trying to do the same thing too.
Yeah, they were going to take his army, I believe.
Why are so many people invested in trying to get these fucking robots?
Yeah, because it's like, it'd be one thing if they were like, we want the shadow androids. Because those things have actually like done damage and shown that like they're actually like dangerous. That you need to like fucking freeze time, chaos control, super duper blast them. And also they like murdered Whisper's team. So like be like actual things you would want. But it's just like, I just want a buzz bomber.
But hey! Don't underestimate buzz bombers. They were so scary that Sonic had to call for backup.
True.
Don't underestimate Badniks. Sonic can't take those out anymore on his own.
Derp, you're fucking right.
Here's the problem. Even following through on that joke, here's the issue. He's not looking to get properly built buzz bombers. He's looking to get the scraps of them, the broken ones, and then he's going to try to repurpose them back into it. It's like, that's not how that works. You can't just take broken parts of computers and then smash them together and just hope for the best. That's not how recycling works. At that point, you might as well just go and make new robots.
Yeah, again, it's like literally just nothing's at stake and the character is lame. So like there's not even like fun of like, oh, it's kind of fun to see this. Like, because like when you watch like Batman or whatever, it's fun when like a Harley Quinn or a Poison Ivy or like any of his villains show up. Because like there's a part of you that wants to see the villains fuck around with the heroes and like fuck them over a little bit. Because like like Batman's gonna win. So you want to see like what's the fun over the top or like ridiculous way they're going to give Batman a run for his money. And you don't even have that. Like, it's not even just like, oh, like even if it was just the mall, Clutch is such like a boring character that I'm not like, oh, I can't wait for Clutch to show up and do anything, So like, it doesn't even like, there's not even just the idea of just like, okay, sure. It's not emotionally investing, but it will be fun. I'm excited,
Now, I know some defenders will go like, well, yeah, he did get his butt kicked by Shadow, but like Shadow's like one of the strongest characters here. But I'm like, that's kind of the problem. You can't have one of your first villains show up and then immediately show one of the main characters can easily one-shot them. They don't get to be serious after that. You got to do a lot of work in order to try to repurpose them. They haven't done that. At best, he got like a kind of shot on SPO, but then they still ended up chasing his ass out to go work with the Team Rocket rejects that Rough and Tumble.
Imagine
It's
if
like-
we were watching Netflix's Daredevil Love and Iron Man just showed up in like episode 2 to kick around Kingpin.
I'm not taking Kingpin seriously after that.
I know.
Even if it would make sense.
That's how it felt. That's how it
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah.
Like the way Shadow just gets shoehorned into the plot and they just completely derail like the little story with Amy Rouge, Cream, and the possum dude for the Starline plot. We'll never
Or
we'll
like
never get over it.
let's say that in Dressrosa, before we get there, there's a scene where Kaido comes over and he goes, "Hey, hey, Doflamingo, real quick," and then he just like fucking kicks him through a wall and then like starts stomping on him, and he's like, "You better get your fucking shit together, you stupid idiot. Anyway, get me my smile fruit. I'm out of here." It's like, anyway, that's the bad guy for this arc. He is stronger than Luffy, but like, you know. Anyway, moving on. It's like that would make sense. Kaido could do that.
Yeah,
But
easily.
you wouldn't want to do that to him.
Because that takes out any type of dramatic payoff of seeing them getting their ass kicked for the first time by the protagonist. Because we already just saw them get their ass kicked by someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so it's like really, and Clutch isn't even the main antagonist for this. It's Mimic, who's honestly worse here.
The most vapid, aimless character ever, whose only thing is whisper. And you know what? That was more personality than he actually has about it. Like he's not even like smacking his lips like I want to kill Whisper. He's just like who?
I hate.
Oh yes,
I
would like to kill Whisper. It's like, oh my god.
I hate that this dude has such a good design, man.
I know. It's
Yeah.
fucking late. I mean, I like the possum's design. I like his little like floofs and stuff. Like
Same, and they
Yeah.
all blow.
like
They
a
all
cool
blow.
mane or whatever. Yeah. I like his white suit and all that shit. But yeah, you just have fucking Mimic.
He's got a knife and he will never use it.
Well, that like Flynn said this in like a podcast. He's like, well, Mimic's whole thing is basically just like he turns into the character, you know, that was your weakness, and then he's gonna stab you with a knife and kill you. Hello? He can't do that, so he's worthless. He can't do anything. And well, actually, he can do it. He can do something. This is perfect. He can create dissent within the team. So hey.
Oh god. Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. So I don't know if this is going to be the thumbnail, but one of the things I was talking about with Derp earlier was that what this leads into, just to build up properly, Mimic's whole thing is being hired by Clutch, so he can go ahead, so he can send Mimic into the restoration, and so he can start fucking with their dynamic and possibly able to basically take them down from the inside, pretending to be someone else. I have to say this right now. This has to be one of, if not the worst game of Among Us I have ever fucking seen in my entire life. And I've seen people on YouTube just do shit posts around Among Us, and those were way funnier than this because it requires every character, and I do mean every character, to be a fucking dumbass to keep this plot going. So once you end up, once Mimic ends up transforming into this guy Duo, he ends up basically just immediately gets brought into the group, and then we end up having. Then once Silver for some reason is like, oh yeah, I want to go on training with you guys as well. He decides to come in. He decides to come in with the group, and then ends up starting some shit when they're out training. And of course, there's just a robot there to make things even worse. And when Silver is trying to point out, like, hey, this guy ended up causing me to cause some problems when I was trying to use my psychic abilities. Also, his eyes turned black for some fucking reason. LANOLIN ends up just immediately, even though at this point they should know about Mimic, I don't know why they wouldn't be sharing that information with each other about, like, hey, yeah, there's a guy who likes transforming into other people. We should probably keep an eye out for him because he might want to fuck around with someone in this group. Instead, she immediately takes the side of the new guy and ends up just chastising Silver. Whisper ends up saying, like, you did say he was like a completely different person. His irises turned white, and then it's like, oh, we're going to go take him down, making it seem like Whisper is like, I know who this might be. But instead of Whisper like doing anything remotely intelligent versus such as, I don't know, stalking him, actually like trying to keep an eye on him properly, or even better, pinning him down and taking the fucking gloves off, because she should know about that because she absolutely does know about that weakness at this point. Instead, it's just her just actively going after him in the most aggressive, oblivious way possible, and LANOLIN just blindly standing by him no matter what. Now, I've seen people try to go back and forth on this scene in particular about like, oh, Whisper is wrong because she's just trying to go after this guy and not talking to LANOLIN, or LANOLIN's too much on his side. And I'm like, guys, they're both fucking idiots, because everyone has to be a fucking moron for this plot to work.
Like not only are they like hiding in just broad daylight, like they're hiding in grass, but they stick out like sore thumbs because one of them's just pure white and the other one's like blonde. And instead of like finding a good vantage point, again, they're in like the grass, they're like below on the floor level where anyone could walk by and I don't know, walk in front of Mimic. And instead of like taking the shot, like Silva just botches the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I only get stupider from here.
Yes. It's like, oh wait, he attacked him, but he didn't immediately change. That means that this isn't Mimic. Silver, you're the bad guy. You need to leave.
Yeah, I hate this because in one scene it almost seems like Whisper's like trying to fend off LANOLIN to get to Mimic.
Mm-hmm.
She says something like, I won't let him do it again, something like that. But then in the following scene, while Silva's handling Mimic, after everything goes wrong, she just decides to turn her back on Silva, and she's like, I thought wrongly of you. It's like, you bitch! You asshole! Like, come on! You motivated him to do this.
Well, and like we haven't seen the conclusion of this yet, but the thing that I'm most curious about is that we've always said like obviously like the thing they like wrap around to is like, well, you know, Whisper, you know, you just they basically, I mean, the story itself gaslights her, not like the characters, but the story gaslights her into believing that no, it's not Mimic. You didn't see what you saw, and Silver didn't see what he saw. You know, it's not what it is. But like, they're both right. So like, so which means right that LANOLIN is going to be the one who is going to have to take some blame here. Because she didn't trust these people, and this is before like any of the other crazy stuff. Like this is before like them attacking him or whatever. She didn't trust them, and also regardless, let's assume right this goes really poorly because like Surge is here. Then again, hopefully she would like understand like, oh shit, well not only was I wrong, but then Whisper has to like go like, oh shit, I thought that I was going crazy and that like we were being stalked. And we were fucking being stalked, and I'm not crazy. And so, like, it's like, what are they going to learn from this? Like, that's what's so confusing about it. Is like,
yeah.
It's like, what are these characters going to learn other than, oh, I was just fucking right, huh? Which is really fucked up for Whisper, because Whisper's whole thing is that like she feels like she's an asshole and that her trauma is consuming her and that she's like making rash mistakes and hurting innocent people. No, she was just fucking right. So, yes. So what does this mean? And again, we haven't wrapped this up yet, but that's the core issue I have. And two, the core issue I have is, all right, you know, let's say, you know, we have all these characters acting like idiots. If you're going to do that, you want the reason they're making the poor decision to be either some character flaw, or if it is something as simple as just like a misunderstanding or just a fuck up, then you want to like explore that and use that to do something with the characters. But these characters factually did not fuck up because they're just right. So like, and if you want to go at the idea of like, well, you know, they should have come up with a more like, then that's where it goes back to the like the idiot angle, right? Where it's like the only way that this wouldn't have been a problem is if they had just done the thing of like removing the gloves, or not just immediately like fucking going like, oh, he'll fight back if I fucking murder him with a bunch of, you know, trays or whatever. So it's just this big thing of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel for these characters, or in terms of like, what are any of them gaining from this other than just, oh, next time I should just be smarter about how I do something, which is like the most basic bland thing they could learn from this. And also there's a lot of emotional baggage this should do to Whisper, which I don't know if they're going to explore. So
they're not, they don't.
Yeah. So it's a whole thing where it just feels so aimless and just feels like the whole point of it is just we're gonna do Cheese from the Foster's home, and he's just gonna be like, no, I didn't do anything, and they're like, yep, I believe you. Especially with the first one where Silver's like, he fucking tripped me and almost got me killed or whatever. Regardless of anything in terms of like if you believe him or not. It makes no sense that LANOLIN is just like, fuck you, Silver. And then the final layer to this is that LANOLIN is a new character, and we don't know anything about her other than that she wants to lead and that she saw Sonic, and she was like, oh, I want to lead because of Sonic. And it's like the most bare bones thing ever. So, like, you're not doing this character any favors by having her, like, be a bitch to the, like, fan favorites. Because even if she has a reason, we don't know. Like, we don't know why she's so stone cold other than she's just fucking wrong. And she's trying to stand up for this little guy, but her standing up for this this kid who, as far as she's concerned, is very innocent and hasn't done anything. As far as she's concerned, Silver and Whisper are attacking some innocent kid. But what does that mean for LANOLIN's character? Like, why is she so adamant about, like, not just like being like, oh, like, no, I think we should give him a chance. Why is she so like no, Silver, I thought better of you, or fuck you, Whisper, I'm gonna toss you into the ground. Like, and what is giving her that would make her an interesting character, but I don't know any of that. So it's just
and this makes
her being over the
this makes LANOLIN's character so funny. Like, if you think about it, from like I want to be a fly on the wall when like Evan and Flynn were writing all of the stories with LANOLIN, because what are they trying to do? So LANOLIN in her debut is sidelined by the Sonic Avengers for like the 5th time in the book. So like her entire story is just like, you're not relevant anymore. It's time for the game cast, baby.
Yeah, and by the end, all she does is get grafted on into a trio that has no emotional investment in her.
Yeah, and then when she gets brought back, as you said, she just acts like an asshole to Silva, like nonstop,
and Whisper, who is like the fan favorite. So like, you're not doing her, like, even like, forget any story stuff. You're just not doing her any favors for the audience.
and what makes all of this so like insane to me is that this entire stuff, like this entire book, this issue, this was like a lot of like IDW fans like first real moment of like critique. When this issue dropped, I had like mutuals who are like diehard IDW stands, defenders, fans, whatnot, and even they were like, yo, this was kind of bad. Why are they doing this? I didn't like this. This was icky. Ew. This was genuinely so annoying to not just haters of the book, not to just people who are like indifferent, but genuine diehard fans. Like, that's how much this shook people, and I just find that amazing. This issue was so dumb, so bad that it managed to make the most passionate fans pause and say, you know what? No, I don't like this one.
Well, actually, I think a good comparison, and it's definitely not as definitely the backlash is, or like the intensity is not as much. It reminds me of the slap from Archie.
Yep.
Because the slap makes sense. It makes perfect sense why Sally does what she does. Her, Sonic's been fucking dead for a year. Her whole life sucks. She's traumatized. She goes to his fucking grave every day and like cries at it. So clearly she's not doing well. But the story does not then explore that. They just have her hit Sonic, and then the writers just kind of fuck around and until it, until Flynn has to kind of like de-escalate and go, do whatever he did with it. So like, that's what, like, it's a similar thing where it's like, okay, she has like these really intense reactions, but like, and like, sure, it makes sense that she thinks, right, that like they're attacking an innocent kid, because that's what people defend this for, right? Is, well, you got to think of LANOLIN's perspective. But the problem is, I'm not getting LANOLIN's perspective. I'm not getting in her head or why she feels this way or like all these things. All this really tells me, I guess, is just that like she really, 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 really just has no doubts about people and has like no trust in like Silver and Whisper and what they see and believe. Because like, even if, let's see, like, say, like, even if like she was like, okay, let's get him some safety or whatever, help him out or whatever, and then it's like, wow, you don't believe us? It's like, I never said I didn't believe you. On the chance that you're wrong, I want to help this innocent kid. But now, now that he's gone, what did you see? Like, like something like that, like a middle.
And I think because we don't get that introspection, the like point of view from LANOLIN, it doesn't help favors, because when this issue dropped, a lot of people were like coping really hard to find an excuse. So a lot of people were saying maybe LANOLIN is actually a spy, and she was hired by Clutch, and this is all part of the scheme.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna say
because I don't know anything about her character to know otherwise.
Yep.
if that is the case, I refuse to believe it. Because like she joined this whole thing for Sonic even before she met Clutch, I assume. So like if that
She
is
hasn't been
the
on screen with
case,
Clutch yet.
like yeah, if that is the case, I don't know. I call bullshit.
Well, and then like again, like let's say you're a fan of LANOLIN. Well, fuck you, because I guess the last arc where we talked to made her into like, oh, I want to be a good leader or whatever. I guess fuck you. That was all fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they wouldn't do. So
exactly.
So it's just that's all there really is for like at least this part of the story is just it doesn't make any it doesn't work from the sense of Silver and Whisper are just fucking right. So I'm very interested to see how they're gonna do that. Also, the story ends with Silver being like, I guess I'm just crazy. And it's like, I guess there is no person inside who's trying to kill everyone and ruin everyone's lives. And then Blaze is like, hey, want to go on vacation? The end. So like,
Actually, let's get to this part.
Silver, you're just right, bro.
Yeah, the story just takes LANOLIN's character and just fumbles us so bad.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for all of the fans. But yeah, Silva, mommy coddling time, baby.
Okay. Also, I hate this. Okay, I don't hate this as much as the first half, but I do genuinely hate this part too.
You can go off.
Like,
I don't have anything interesting to say about
like,
it.
I want to mention this before because kind of I didn't mention this before. The reason why Silva joined the like training team in the first place is because he's like, oh, I don't know what to do, and mommy Blaze is gone, and I'm kind of lost, and I'm just like, I got nowhere to go.
But his
So that's
the whole comic.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he even joins in the first place. So it's like, yay, the baby boy has got his mommy figure again.
Well, you
Mommy
know what?
GF.
By the way, someone made it was like a Sonic fan thing or whatever, because like you have the IDW fan annuals that they do, which is like a Twitter group, and they had one where it was like Silver goes to the future, and they kind of like explore like what it would be like be in a world where like you don't know anybody, and so it's like that's what you needed to do if you were gonna like have the Silver storyline, but it's not a storyline. It's just Silver keeps repeating the same fucking arc, which is just I don't like know who I am or like what I need to do, and I'm really nervous, and ooh, and it's like, okay, can you show me any of that? No, I'm really nervous. It's like, okay,
And then
Waffles,
Flynn comes
how
in.
dare you? Don't you understand that Silver is dealing with a lot of trauma? You can't expect for someone dealing with trauma to immediately resolve that in one issue. You have when someone's dealing with trauma, especially a character, they need to be dealing with that for years and years and years and years before they ever make any sign of progress. So it's okay for someone to repeat the same character conflict 7 fucking times.
Well,
Then
what I would say to that is I wish I could be Silver's therapist because I want him to tell me what he's fucking upset about. Show me anything. Tell me a story, Silver. Tell me why you're traumatized. Show it to me. Give me a flashback. It's fucking terrible. It's so boring. But yeah, sorry. You can rip into this now.
Yeah, no. So here's the thing. As much as I was pretty quiet during this section because you guys covered everything that I wanted that I was looking to talk about with this. And this is genuinely awful. But I hate the second half more. I hate not more, but I hate this just as much because again, I hate how cynical Flynn is as a writer because I want to rip into Stanley because Stanley has her own set of problems, but Flynn constantly finds ways to get under my skin, mainly because he is so just willing to placate fans with fan service in the most cynical, forced way possible. Because Silver and Blaze have had no real screen time with each other, have not had any type of moment to like really establish like what their relationship or dynamic is outside of at best an annual. So between like the urban warfare arc where they just share a nod that's supposed to
they share a fucking nod. Yeah. Sorry to give the backstory. We have the nod, and then we also have they build a garden together. But that story doesn't focus on any idea of like Silver finding Blaze to be like, oh, like, wow, Blaze really knows a lot, or like, oh, wow, like Blaze is like really cool. It's just that Blaze teaches Silver how to make a garden. So just to clarify to everyone, those are their 2 moments. Anyway, moving on. Go ahead.
Yeah. And again, I'm not even against the idea of these two like being best of friends, being able to like bond and actually like connect and relate to each other. I hate this shit where it's just having where the whole idea is about just forcing them together because Silver and Blaze are like one of their biggest ships. So we need to make sure that we are pushing this forward because the fans like it, not because it actually makes sense and the story actually does something to develop the characters. No. We need to put this here because the fans like it. Because that's the only reason to have these two interact at this state.
Oh, 100%. Like they even have Flynn come in so a couple's.
No, it's Flynn. Like, it's Flynn. It's Flynn.
He's like, hey, you two look good together. You like bounce off and you got good chemistry and dynamic and stuff. Like I really wish I could see what like Silvaze fans see because like okay, I can't use that example, but like I don't know, Sonic and Amy, like when they're bundled together, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it why people would like this. But when I see Silvaze together, I'm like, it's just I don't know. It always feels the same way where it's like, oh, I'm a subby little baby boy and I need a mom to tell me what to do again.
Oh no. See, here's the thing. Derp, as funny as that summary of their relationship is, that's actually too much characterization for what Silvaze fans want. What Silvaze fans see is soft uwu baby boy with nervous girl. And like, they unironically do the hand-holding thing as being too lewd for them. It's that fucking sterile.
Like this isn't me coming from like I'm a Sonaze fan and I say no Blaze with any other male character. Like I've said that I said I was a Sonaze fan before, but I'm like a multi-shipper. Like if you ask me a question about Sonic, I'll be like, oh yeah, Sonaze baby. I like Sonic and I don't know Merlina because I'm just weird. I ship him with nearly every character for bloody sake. But like I just can't. I don't know. I just can't be convinced in their relationship because every single piece of material we've ever seen with them has always been the same, and it's so mind-numbing. I just want to see them like have a different interaction.
Well, and the thing is, right, even the core of their relationship that would even make it make a little more sense obviously doesn't exist in anything past 06 because the reason you could really squint and kind of see it is that in Sonic 06 they presumably are the last fucking people who exist in Hellscape land. So you can kind of headcanon and understand that they would be close. You literally play a stage as both of them. So there's a controller. This is obviously very important in video games. There is a tangible element to it where you're literally swapping between the two characters. So you kind of have that angle. So they're the only people left who live in this horrible hellscape. So they know each other's struggles. You play as both of them. So they're a team in the gameplay. And then she sacrifices herself for Silver. So it's it has the three components that could make it work. It's just Sonic 6, so it's shit. But some people see, they see the tiny bits of jewels and the heaping pile of shit, and they cling to it, and that's fine. But that is not here. It's just you guys like Sonic and you like Silver and Blaze together, right? Well, here you go. They have no reason to want to need to have any connection. Or I shouldn't even say that. It's just that the comic doesn't give them a reason to have a connection. There is nothing.
More power to people who like them as a dynamic. I feel like I've came off strong in this part, and I just want to say, no disrespect to people who like it. Honestly, I envy you because I gotta put up with this. I'd rather I like it too,
Well, no, and what I'm just saying is just simply that the basics of what make their relationship good just aren't even here. So even if you like Silver and Blaze, that even the baseline stuff of what their characters are about is not here. The comic is just telling you in this story, hey, they have a connection, a really good connection, best friends even, maybe even lovers. Let's not get crazy, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, I'm off to have dinner. And it's just the most forced thing because there's nothing in the story. And then, by the way, the end of the story is that Silver and Blaze are going to go hang out. Do we see that? No. So they come back and they go, hey, we hung out off screen. So
yeah, they go to Soliana off screen.
And they go to Soliana. So that, and that's the thing, right? The comic is allergic to actually giving you these character moments. It just fucking does it off screen. Yeah. Yes. So so there you go. Even if you wanted to build it, it doesn't exist. They skipped it.
Yep. And you know what? I will be the bad guy here. If you do like if you are someone who likes Silvaze, Do not placate. Do not get satisfied by this shit. Because this is what. Because if you actually want some substance here, where they actually have more of a dynamic, you cannot let this be the baseline. Because if they take, especially with Flynn right now, and I'm going to be blunt, Stanley's not better here. If you want them to have more of a dynamic and actually show like them actually bonding and be able to connect with each other, you can't let this be the base. You cannot let this be the acceptable baseline.
Oh yeah, don't let it. Yeah, well, I mean that's what I always say about IDW. Yeah. Like that's like, for example, like the Silver Sonic thing or the Sonic and Blaze thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's cute as like fucking cotton candy, and even then I'd say it's stale cotton candy because there's barely anything in it. But like if that's all you get, it's like, holy shit, you're starving. And that's what I always see IDW as, that the Sonic like the Sonic games and the Sonic series has been such a laughing stock for like a fucking decade that IDW is like the scraps of like a burnt cracker. And people are just like, oh, thank God. There's fucking anything. And it's like, no, guys, I think you should ask for more, because it's not a matter of there's no value in a Silver Blaze relationship. It's that you're not getting it. They're not giving it to you. So I definitely, please ask for more, because you could get more. You could, if what they should have done is, if they were going to do these fucking misadventure stories, instead of Sonic and Blaze hang out, maybe Silver and Blaze hang out, because if you're gonna do fan service, right, that's what people want to see. So then you could use it to actually give people the like a moment, give them a character moment where they actually learn these things. Because Silver could learn, like Silver and Blaze could have that same kind of thing for like that Sonic taught her, but this time it would be with a character who's also trying to because like Silver's kind of has a similar thing that he's trying to get out of this, which is that he wants like to find something to do. And Blaze wants to find something to do, but hers is more like she's a worker or whatever. So then you could maybe like contrast those two, or like maybe they bounce off each other. Maybe they go to Soliana and they start geeking out about weird things that they've not seen before. Maybe that's because Silver's more bubbly in this. So maybe like Blaze is like, oh, like, you know, I need a mission to do. You know, I need something to do. I need to keep my hands busy. And then Silver, you know, he's like, I need to keep my hands busy. And they're like, well, you know, maybe we could go to like Soliana. And then Blaze is like, okay, you know, I will protect you with my life, Silver. And he's like, I don't really need that, but sure. And so they go there, and then Silver gets like really excited about being in Soliana, because he's like, holy shit, there's like food and all these things. Like, you know, I haven't been in my good future for too long, so I'm not used to like real things. And then Blaze, seeing him be so excited, she's like, wow, I'm really glad he's happy. And then like she like starts being like wanting to hang out with him and like wanting to do stuff with him. And then by the end, you see that like that's what they find enjoyment in, is like, oh, it's not about like, for like the lesson could be, it's not about just like finding something to do. For them, it's about finding something to do with another person, like having a unified goal, even if that unified goal is, you know, if this is like a goofy issue, maybe they just want to fucking win a prize at like a Soliana carnival or something. You know? Yeah. And that would be a reason to like them as a pair.
Right. So the whole goal should be about getting them to actually be actually like showing them relating to each other, not just focusing on them being awkward like this, but simultaneously we can kind of be on the same plane but we're kind of awkward and don't know how to look at each other. This is not a relationship. This is just cute, mean bullshit. If you actually want them to be a couple, you got to call this shit out, or you're never going to progress past this.
Or even as a friendship. Like, it's a nothing. It's a nothing burger.
So. Yeah. All right.
Another thing.
Burgers.
One thing. Another thing about this issue. I don't know if this is the first time we see it again, but I'm just gonna point it out. That's Sunset Heights. It's not being rebuilt.
Yeah.
What was the point of the restoration squad?
Oh, they wanted to have they still wanted to have a team, something like the Freedom Fighters, but they didn't want to have anyone in the main cast actually be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, what is the world building in this? Like, how long has it been since Forces? You know, the whole, like, we gotta make the world a better place, so let's start doing our job. It's like, oh yeah, let's just leave that city in ruins. Let's just leave that.
Yeah. That's a really
let's power through these real quick, because I don't think we're gonna have much to talk about with these.
Oh yeah.
So first we got Knuckles versus the Babylon Rogues, which I got to be honest. Again, this is one of those places where I'm like, I don't see someone actually, like, again, as much as I can rip into Stanley's work for how like poorly written it can be sometimes, I still feel like he's trying to be creative to a certain extent. Flynn, I can only see someone who's just going, I want to throw references out because I like placating fans. Because Knuckles' whole thing here is, I don't want to try bring in people who actually could help me out with this. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring the chaos because I don't want people to know that I was beaten, and I want my pride to stay the same. So I'm going to go to the Chaotix. It's like.
Also, I gotta point this out.
Yeah.
Who's protecting the Master Emerald?
Oh yeah, nobody.
Who's protecting
Nobody.
the Master Emerald?
And you might be thinking, well, Knuckles thinks it could have something important, but it's like, even in the story, he doesn't even know what it is, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. This is where like that relic thing. It's like, what does it mean? What does it do? Anyway, it's just a thing he wants. It's like, guys, did nobody try? Like, did nobody think to past like, oh, so I'm gonna write a story where Knuckles needs to get something back. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a good like framework. So what does he want to get back? What do you mean? What is he like? What does he want? Oh, I guess it'd be like the statue. Okay, what does the statue mean? What do you mean? What is the? He just wants it back. Oh,
so I'm gonna say this really early. I'm gonna be honest. I think this duology, like this two-parter, might actually be one of the few things I read recently out of this entire comic that was actually halfway decent. And let me say that it's not like perfect. I wouldn't even call it great, but like I had a good time reading this. I feel like the Babylon Rogues were finally written not bad. Because I was actually laughing at some of the dialogue and like interactions they had between both themselves and like the Chaotix crew.
So you liked it from the perspective of you thought like, well, if we're gonna like fuck around for a bunch of issues, at least this one was kind of funny.
Yeah, I like this action scene, the way like the heroes like interact with the enemies while they're on the board. Like you got Vector like chowing down on the board, and he's like, "I'm gonna bite harder if you don't land."
Right.
He's
or
like,
you have like the charmy one where he's like, hey, you stole that from me. He's like, oh, that would be bad. Here you go, have it back. Like that kind of like, yeah, like they're actually kind of like building off their personalities a little bit.
There's like a cute scene where Storm's like, okay, I want to throw down a Unicles, and then Jet's like, no, we're not doing that now. We're going.
to me, I think that would be fine if the Babylon Rogues ever got to be fun at all in the series before, and it'd be like, oh, here's like a little issue where they're just fucking around. But to me, it's just a symptom of like the Chaotix and the Babylon Rogues just already being like nothing burgers. So like
I've kind of forgotten a bit about how well, I guess not important the Babylon Rogues have been up until now, but I don't know. I kind of enjoyed this little duology. Off topic. Well, I'm still on topic. I think the relic changes sizes between the first part and the second part, because like it changes from like being the size of a character's hand, and then I swear to God, it just triples in size to like how Charmy is. Yeah. Put it on screen and then go to like where Charmy is in like the following issue. Like I swear to God.
Take it here versus how it is.
Wrong tab.
No, this is right tab. Right.
Oh yeah, it's like tripled in size.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like I would definitely say that this story also has the it's the most they've used the paneling for anything. So for example, I really like the joke right there where he's literally grabbing the panel and like yelling into the thing. There's one where I think it's at the first issue where like Storm like throws him out of one panel into the next or whatever. And it kind of like follows down, or he like grabs or whatever. He fucking he goes literally into the next panel. Knuckles does. So there's actually like some good use of paneling and different like shapes and sizes to like tell the story, which is what I'm always saying they should do. So I would definitely say, as far as like even if like the story didn't do much for me, I will say that as far as the art's concerned, they definitely like do elevate like what I consider to be just like a really like bland script. Not beyond not to, like any like level that I really enjoyed it too much, but just more like, oh hey, someone actually fucking tried and like tried to like use like the comic book medium to like tell some jokes, especially like the Jet one. So I would definitely give it props for that angle for whoever the artist is for these issues.
Like beyond the nitpicks of like, oh, the Master Emerald, why is he not protecting it? Like the writers don't care. Like I should just expect them to just not give a shit anymore. It's hard not to though. Like the only thing that kind of hurt this duology for me is the following scene with Clutch.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
about to
this
do.
is stupid. This is
Yes.
stupid
Oh
on
yeah,
so
this
many.
yeah. Okay, thank you. You go into it. Go into it.
Yeah, go.
Okay, what is the point of Mimic being able to shapeshift if you can just go Team Rocket and put a different outfit on?
There's that.
And this, you know, okay, one, that, and two, how is his face not on a wanted poster? And if it's not on a wanted poster, why hasn't Sonic & Co. told anybody about the possum?
Well, and I'll give you the third and final one. This is the biggest hilarious one. This is where you can tell like nobody cared, because his whole thing was, I need the Babylon Rogues to keep characters busy who might be at the restoration. And who does he pick? Knuckles, who lives on a fucking island and never visits ever, and that's his entire fucking character. And the Chaotix, whose whole thing is that they're paying rent for their own house. So it's actually mind-numbing that Flynn wrote a story where the whole premise is that and this just makes the possum dude look like a fucking moron, because his whole thing is that he goes, I need to keep people who will try to harm me out of my way. And he's like, Sonic, Amy, Tails, people who actually, work here and do things. No. Knuckles, the Echidna, a guy I've never met and never comes down. And the Chaotix, people who also never come over or do anything. I'm such a fucking... Literally, Amy could have walked by in the scene and he would have been like, holy shit, I didn't plan for her. He's so stupid.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they were like, oh, this is going to be such a good idea. Let's do this.
And you know why they did this? Because the most they thought about this was, well, the Chaotix fought the possum guy once. So let's tell a story where the Chaotix do stuff and it's connected to the possum guy. And then that was as far as they thought about it.
But you got to remember, the Chaotix were only drafted into the story by Knuckles. There's no reason for him to think them stealing stuff from Knuckles would lead to Chaotix getting involved. Like he's never been that forward of a thinker.
Unless he thinks that he was supposed, like, this would make it even funnier, is if he thought, oh yeah, Knuckles is friends with like Amy and Sonic, so Knuckles will come down and like get all of those people to come help us. But that's not what he's like saying or doing. He's just like, I needed the Chaotix and Knuckles out of my way. It's like, are you a fucking idiot? Hello? It's so stupid. Again, it's just like this character, he's a joke. Like, he didn't accomplish anything. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. And
so we also got this side story. You want to go back an issue?
Yeah. So Cream and Vanilla are preparing a dinner for the Chaotix, and they're looking to try to get everything ready. But Vanilla realizes that she ran out of butter, so she needs to go grocery shopping.
Yeah, because
Chicola. This is when, again, wannabe
Team Rocket
and Rocksteady decided to try to come in and break into a house, because Lord knows we cannot show them being any more pathetic. We have to show them being more and more pathetic each time they show up. So now they try to break into this house, and
one strike. They should have been killed here.
Yes, let's just get this out of the way right now. I've always said that these two should have been Cream's villains, because they do not make sense to any degree to be fighting anyone else. So they should be fighting Cream. But this is literally
like a swiper no swiping kind of thing, maybe.
Yes, no, exactly like that. Maybe a little bit more action oriented, but yeah, exactly that. But there is no reason anyone, and I mean anyone else in the story, should be struggling dealing with them, especially General. And I hate that my boy General just gets hoed every single fucking time he shows up. Like, I don't think he's got.
You say especially General, but I'm sorry. Like, Cream should have been one-shotting these guys even more. Because I don't know about you, but that cheese, I don't know what they fed cheese in that advanced game, but it must have been some like crazy Lovecraftian like food resource, because that thing is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That thing should be one-shotting these guys and leaving them in some like emergency room, like levels of power.
Yes, it's just a thing of like, so yeah, it's funny that you say like, oh yeah, like she should be they should be her villains, and it's like she still doesn't even get to fight them.
Nope.
No, she's like cooking for like comedic like value the whole scene.
And it's
like,
not
oh
very
no,
funny.
the food is ruined because they stepped in it. Wow, those meanies.
Yeah, and then you had so then like the climax of it, right, is the vanilla thing, and you had some thoughts on this, right, Lav?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I've seen this kind of joke done before in other series, but the whole reason that joke is supposed to be able to work is that these characters are supposed to have some type of intimidation factor behind them, where even though they have the kind demeaning look face, that they can rock shit. And it doesn't work all the time. Like, I've just got through playing through Pokemon Violet to get ready for the DLC, and they tried doing this bit with the new champion, who's also supposed to have like this cool demeanor, but she's supposed to be like the top trainer. But I'm like, she has the weakest team of everybody, so it doesn't even work properly there. But here it works even less, because I don't know if anyone remembers this, but she had to get saved by her 6-year-old several times. She is not a fighter to any degree. So when I end up seeing this, I'm just seeing, hey, let's invoke the scary mom trope just because we think that trope is funny, not because it actually fixes this character. And I'd be fine with it fitting the character, but they need to actually, establish that she could actually do some shit. It doesn't work here.
Well, and also usually, even if you're going to do the kind of like the mentor or whatever, there usually is some sort of like power they have over them, as like either like maybe not physically but like socially. So it might be, oh, like, I don't know, it might be like it might be like, oh, it's your girlfriend or whatever, the heroes, like Mary Jane is gonna be like, Peter, it's like, oh no, Mary, I like just something like that, where it's like a character, like there's an emotional side of it, and that's kind of the funny part of like, oh yeah, like they care about this person, so therefore like they have fear of them, in like this comedic sense. Or you have to just make it really over the top, like Nami or whatever, like beating the shit out of me. Like you have to like really sell it. And this just goes for just she's scary. She looked down on them. The end. Like, it's not much.
Yeah. And then everyone decides to have a dinner and everyone is
Why
invited.
are they not thrown on the pavement? Why are they here? I hate this.
Because we're not, because none of because that's something I've been kind of noticing, is they don't want any of their villains to be actual villains. They do just kind of want to like, everyone's chilling, happy, and we can all coexist with each other. It's really bullshit.
They tried to hurt a child. I hate them.
Well, and it's like that at that point, what it tells you then is like, it's less about like, oh, it's not doing seriousness, right? Well, okay, at this point, then that just means the series is telling me that it's a series about nothing. Like nothing matters. Characters' actions don't mean anything. Characters are just gonna fucking chill around and just talk and chill out, and we go on vacations every day, and like that's it. Like that's the level of like stakes we're dealing with, where like this character came in, and we even had the mom like be fucking pissed, and we can't even follow through on the joke of like, oh, Cream Honey, can you leave the room for 5 minutes? I just need to talk to our guests. And then like maybe
loud
sound or something, and then they come back and they're like, we're sorry, and they have like a like a fucking anvil on their head or something. Like we can't even commit. We can't even commit to that.
Nope.
That's how like nothing IDW is. That it can't even like do anything like that. So like to me, that's what it tells me. It tells me, oh, the series is about nothing. Like they don't care about the characters, don't care about the comedy, don't care about it. Like, just if you liked Cream the Rabbit, you got 5 or 6 pages of her existing. You're welcome. Have a great day.
And as someone who does know, a huge Cream the Rabbit fan, they were not thrilled about this story at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's just nothing to it.
You know what? I remember Stanley a while ago saying, like after like the imposter syndrome arc wrapped up, she was like, and people said all the time that I can only do slice of life and I can't do action. I like to say officially now, oh, Evan, who said you could do slice of life?
It really, I mean, yeah, it's.
I don't like being that mean, but I'm just like, she's not proving me wrong. She's not showing she could do that either.
It has no spark.
No,
there's no charm, no charisma. It's nothing. So,
yeah. Anything else, guys?
No, I have nothing else for that.
No, this just kind of leaves me empty. Like, Vanilla, why do you allow these two awful people to be near your daughter?
And I know you can kind of go with the joke of she's supposed to be a bad mom, but I'm just like,
Is she though?
no, this is a
Not
weird way to pay it
really.
off. Also, I'll bring this up here real quick. So a while ago, someone pointed out that this frame ended up getting redrawn because like the original came out weird. And let's see if I can find it really quickly, because on one hand, I'm like, yes, I do respect the idea of like making sure that artists and writers can have as much creative freedom as possible, as necessary in order to tell like the stories that they want to. But oh wait, shit, crap, wrong server. One sec, sorry.
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, found it. Here we go. So this is what the original was supposed to look like versus how it ended up turning out.
Yeah.
And on
Damn,
one
she
hand,
thirsty.
yeah, on one hand, I'm like, I'm not against the idea of showing her being like a little flirtatious, especially with Vector, because I'm like, if you gotta do a pairing, let's see what you go with this. My problem here is like one, she's looking at the viewer, so I'm already just kind of weirded out about it in the first place. Because it looks less like she's looking at Vector, more like she's looking at us. But in particular, this entire story has been so sterile and kitty. I don't know why you want to end on like a face like this. So I'm like, I'm all for the idea of, so like I said, creative freedom when possible, yes, but I'm like, I don't like the idea of constantly vilifying every single time anyone puts out any type of editorial changes, because sometimes it's for the best. Now, granted, I don't like how vacant her expression is here. I think her eyes should have just been closed but I feel like it's better, like this is a better way to end the story than what we have here. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's more of the idea of like it doesn't really fit, but that doesn't mean what we got was better.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, the face also feels like I don't know if like out of character, because no offense, but she doesn't really have one.
She does. I will back you up on that.
You can't prove Vanilla doesn't fuck.
I don't know. In my head, I just can't see Vanilla making his face. It's funny though. Don't misconstrue. This is a funny face, and I'm glad that it's been archived in some way.
Yeah.
There you go. But all right, what's next?
All right, the last one where Surge and Kid come back, and I think this might be the one place where we end up disagreeing with each other on this. So Surge and Kid end up coming back to the restoration, saying like, "Oh yeah, we've changed our minds and we're looking to have a fresh start," taking up on what you said before, Sonic. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And anyone with a brain cell can tell they're lying, because they've actually been hired by Clutch in order to be able to hired by Clutch in order to be another two parties into sneaking and breaking down everything. Which I'm just going to be blunt. At this rate, the restoration deserves to fall apart at this point. If you're allowing this many people into your group with little to no background check, because it's supposed to be a secret base for the record, or the very least it's supposed to be at least kind of hidden, and you're letting this many people, because it's not just Mimic, it's not just Clutch. We also have Surge and Kid, but we need to add on top of that. Not only did Starline break into this place with little to no effort on his part, the Zeddy were able to break into here with little to no effort. So I'm like, at this point, what's the point of this place? Of this being like a safe haven for like anything?
Yeah, like nobody's safe. Yeah, absolutely. Tip's gone, by the way. He'll probably be back.
Yeah, he'll be back in a second.
But yeah, no. I mean, yeah, once again, we talked about he's backstage. Try leaving and coming back in, because I don't see you.
Yeah, no, yeah, he'll be back in a second.
Okay. And then we got Rough and Tumble. They're getting. I mean, so the thing that I always said about this is that it's just so weird that you like, to me, like, again, to build on last time. So like the story's about nothing. And the way that I think this story right here kind of encapsulates it being about nothing is that Surge and Kit had a very like provocative ending where like fucking Surge like fries her brain, and like Kit like lifts her into sky and is like, "Fuck you, we're out of your story. We don't want any of your bullshit." And then the way we bring them back, so that's like a pretty like like big send off for them, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, wow, like what kind of people are they going to be the next time we see them? And all we get is they're just like fucking back. They're just like, I don't know, like sleeping. They don't have food. Anyway, so it's just like it's so like there's no like they couldn't even be bothered to have the last issue end with like, oh, let's do some business stuff, and also like the possum guy, like let's do some business stuff, and then maybe he could have been like, also, I know you guys you allow people to stay here and like kind of to heal and stuff. I found 2 innocent young stragglers who are victims of Eggman's war, and I just wanted to see if I could let them in. And then Surge and Kid are like there, and they walk in, it's like, hey, how's it going? Like they couldn't even be bothered to give them like a moment. It's just literally, they're fucking back. Who fucking cares? You want to see Surge and Kid? They're back. Who cares? Like that. Like that's the vibe of like their return. And again, it just shows to me that like, yeah, the series is about nothing. Don't care about anything. Don't bother to like care about where these characters go or what anything means for their story. What happened was Evan wrote that story, and the ending is literally just supposed to be Kit talks shit, and but it doesn't mean anything. We're back.
That's because, and I'm not kidding here, Flynn doesn't understand what a character motivation is. And I'm not even exaggerating about that. When I was trying to talk to him during that second interview, when I was trying to ask, like, hey, why don't we have like characters actually like work together in order, like as a team, in order to get stuff done? It's like, well, yeah, like, well, you have to do like a whole bunch of like, but that's not possible. Like, you have to do certain things in order to do it. It's like, you can just give them a character motivation to do that, right? It's like, what? So that's already just kind of a problem. He just he said this before. He sees the characters as tools that he can pull out and just do whatever he wants with them to move the story forward. He wants to do a story about trying to beat in the idea that Sonic's all about redemption, which is hilarious when you actually look at what happens in the story, because I want to get to it. And since he wants to try beating that he wants to beat that drum again, he decides to invoke these 2 back in so he can just keep pushing that story forward.
And it's annoying because he's never challenged on it.
No, never properly. Like, I ended up getting like a bunch of IDW fans on my on me for rewriting this scene, this scene, and and as much as I'm like, I would be up for trying to do another take on rewriting the dialogue here, I stand by what I was doing. I stand by rewriting this idea, because the whole point here in universe is that Sonic is basically gaslighting his friends into going along with whatever he's going for, and just trying to push past their concerns in the most disingenuous way possible. But the actual reason here is we need Flynn wants to try to justify this dialogue in some way, so he has these characters say these particular things in order for this ideology to make sense. Because for example, Bella's here after basically being gone from the comic for well over a year at this point. She decides to come back in and just goes, well, are you sure they should be here? Starline made them. It's like, of all the reasons to not let them in here, why is that the first thing on your list? But the reason why is because we need to we're trying to set Sonic up so he can rebut her on the idea of like, just because they were made by someone doesn't mean that they're bad. Remember who you made you. So it's like, really fuck off. And what makes this even more disingenuous, and one of the reasons why I hate this sort of with a passion, is because as much as Sonic is trying to go with the idea of like, oh, I want to try giving these guys a fresh start and saying that all the fucking time, he doesn't believe it. Even here, they're just like, oh yeah, we're just going to like keep an eye on them just to make sure that they don't end up doing something stupid. They don't even really. And I've even had fans out of both sides of the mouth go like, Sonic's all about redeeming people he works with, and he's also just doing this because he doesn't actually trust them or anything like that. Which is, I'm gonna be
I don't know what they're trying to cook.
They don't know either. The whole point here is that Flynn, and to a lesser extent Stanley, and I'm only saying this because Flynn is the one who keeps beating this drum. Flynn wants to really beat this idea of like, oh yeah, characters can be redeemed, characters can be changed, because he just cannot let it go that Tinker was not received well, and he just keeps trying to do this bullshit over and over and over again. And I'm like, I need you to stop, because he has never been able to do it properly, because he doesn't understand what because he refuses to understand what the problem is, because at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said before. He doesn't understand what character motivation is, because in order for characters to want to change and become good, it doesn't matter how many people they killed. It doesn't matter how personal their attacks were, or anything like that. It matters on if the main thing is, do they want to change? And if they're not up for doing that, then why are we having this? Why having this conversation? Because the only thing you can see in this situation is the idea, if they do try following through on this, the whole goal here is not about actually having Scourge actually show that she wants to change. The whole idea is basically just having the story pressure her into realizing maybe there is something more than just wanting to go after revenge for Sonic, which I'm just like, no. As someone who didn't like her in her premiere, she has every right to want to punch this pompous douchebag's face in. Like, yeah, go for it now. But again, the whole point here is just about like trying to push her down that redemption, trying to push her down this redemption pipeline. But what makes this even more insufferable is that they're trying to push this through the idea of she's not making her own decisions. They're like she's only doing this because she's being brainwashed. She doesn't have any way to make a proper choice. She's only doing this because she's being brainwashed, which is honestly like with bringing them back after kids saying that they don't want anything to do with the story. This is also incredibly condescending and disrespectful to the character. Again, I don't like Sir, but at the bare minimum, I would at least want to respect her enough to say that everything that she's been doing after wanting to beat Starline's face in has been her own choice, has been her own decision. But instead, they're trying to force her around the idea of she's incapable, like everything that she's doing right now isn't her responsibility, or they're trying to hide within like the ambiguity of what's her brainwashing and what's not. Which I really just want to throw a giant middle finger to both of them for trying to both do redemption, but also not being able to commit to what is her actions and what isn't.
Right. Well, and also just the idea of like Sonic, if you want her to be better, you should probably like give her a reason, like try to help her,
no, he does give her a reason.
Is that the threat?
That's the threat.
The thing about that threat is that what does that even entail? Because up until now, Sonic, I don't think he's outright threatened his enemies, or at least if he's threatened them, it doesn't feel like a threat.
He's threatened a couple of people in the story before. The problem is there's no fucking teeth to it. I don't care what any IDW fan wants to say. Has no major wins under his belt. There's nothing about him that says he can actually do some fucking damage. Even when he was fighting against Scourge, he technically won, but it was so close call that I'm just like, if she came in with a strategy, his ass is toast.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even really matter about that because if she's gonna fight, it's gonna be here with people. So like Sonic has to defend people if he's going to like. This is where like the threat doesn't make any sense. Like regardless of like how many wins does he have? Is that the story, or it kind of does, but just in a different way. Which is that the whole point of Sonic stories is that he keeps in this comic anyway, and a lot of stories is that he keeps having people to rely on to help him. But where in like Archie, for example, that was the whole point, is that like, oh, like Sonic does need people. That's his power set, is that he's the big giant machine, that like weapon of mass destruction, as Eggman calls him, and everyone else is there to pick up parts that he can't do, or be places where he can't be, or like do social things that he can't do, or whatever. So like he's part of a team. That's the whole point, is he's part of a team. So he never makes threats of like the idea of like, I can do this on my own. And when he does make those threats, the point is that he can't do it alone because of whatever the overwhelming odd is. So you have IDW where it's the same thing, where Sonic is always on a team. He's always needing help. And when he does do things alone, like when he's fighting all the Zeddy, he almost gets fucking murdered, and he needs like Tails to help him, and they have to beat him through like trickery that is only through Tails. Like Tails does this. So like when Sonic says like, I'm going to, if you try to do something, I'll fucking beat you. This is what the problem was at the end of the Zeddy arc, where they're like, we'll come back and we'll like fucking make the world hell. And he's like, yeah, but like I'll beat you in the end. It's like, Sonic, that's not the point. What about all the people who they beat to death while you're trying to beat them?
Right. But I also throw up the number of wins here, not just because like the raw number matters. It's more about the idea of like, he can't like you can't go around making these kind of threats or trying to like making these kind of threats or trying to force people into this when you can't do anything about it on your own. You have to draft other people in order to make some responsibilities. It's like, no, really go fuck off.
Yeah, he legitimately is just wrong. If Scourge does something like, and by the way, this is assuming that Scourge does not have Kit helping her, so which would make Sonic need help, because just Sonic has not proven that he can do anything alone,
Nope.
which would be fine if that was what the story was about, and we didn't like have a Sonic who thinks he's
Power
out
friendship.
Yeah, but he's not acting like that. He's like, "No, I'll fucking handle you." Thing. It's like Sonic. No, you won't. You've not done that once in this whole series.
I know what his threat entails, guys. I know what it entails.
What?
He's gonna talk her down with a long, multi-paragraph speech about how she can choose her own freedom.
Which I want to get to that real quick, because this is the other thing that this conversation right here is what made me decide I do not want to talk to IDW fans anymore, because they will forget, they will completely pretend they don't know the definition of words in order to try to defend the series. Like, I know
very proud of you. I'm very proud of you, by the way. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Because you can't on one hand say that you're offering someone freedom and then to say, if you don't choose the thing I want, I will beat your ass. That's not freedom. That's ultimatum. And here's the thing. I have seen plenty of characters give ultimatums like that before. Like, I'm just watching through Yu Yu Hakusho, and the good boy of the story, Kurama, he ends up going to one of the like soft uwu sad backstory characters, going, "Hey, you either help us or you become our enemy. Which one is it going to be?" Which is fine. You can make those kind of ultimatums, but don't pretend like you're making a case for freedom, because that's not what freedom is.
Right. And also, I think Sonic, his one win in this is where like you have to get meta and it becomes really funny, because the only win I think Sonic has ever had in IDW is his fight in Scrapnik, where he does beat Mecha Sonic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by Daniel Barnes, who we've been like, hey, maybe that guy should write, because like at least he seems to have like a semi idea. If Flynn writes the story, which he probably will, or actually Evan's going to, then especially if Evan or Flynn write it, then it's gonna be like everyone's gonna have to get involved and everyone's gonna have to fight, and like there's just gonna be a bunch of fucking chaos. It's like, no, Sonic, just stop.
Do you want to talk about the scene where Amy and Scourge talk, Lav? Because I know you like.
Okay. I'll go and talk about this right here, but I want to broaden this out a little bit. So I've seen a lot of people try to deny the idea that Surge has anything to do with Scourge, which I'm going to be honest, I don't know why IDW fans are like so resistant to the idea of like, obviously Flynn was trying to repurpose Scourge because he liked the idea so much from Archie and wanted to try to redo it again. And I don't blame him for that on paper, at least in a vacuum, because I'm like, yeah, it's from a dead series that he can't do anything with. So let's try to see. And he wanted to try to use one of these ideas to try to reinvoke it again. Fair enough. I totally think that's fine. My problem here is, one, he shouldn't be doing that here, not because using Scourge is a bad idea, but because Scourge makes no sense. Giving Sonic a dark, evil version of himself makes no sense for this version, because this Sonic isn't dealing with that kind of problems right now. Because this Sonic, outside of his morality being complete and utter bullshit, doesn't make sense for him to get a character like that. If anything, he needs more of he doesn't need an evil version of himself. He needs like an adult who can actually probably ego check him. But because, let's be blunt, Flynn unintentionally uses Sonic as a vector to talk about his own ideologies, and he's not capable of challenging himself properly on that. But I bring this up in talks with Amy and Surge, because for as much as IDW fans want to try talking about Surge not being Scourge, it does not help that case when they literally try making Surge do the exact same thing Scourge did, and have their green edgy character steal Sonic's quote unquote girlfriend. Like, how does that help anything? Like, how does that not make that case stronger?
Well, and also like it's just funny too, because I literally told my friend whenever like Surge was like coming around, where it's like we were talking about Archie or whatever, and I was just hanging out, and I was like, yeah, and now in IDW, we'll never see Scourge again because of the lawsuit, and now in IDW they have to make their own Scourge because now there's another green super fast character wwho is a dark rival to Sonic, and her name is Surge. And he's like, haha, shut the fuck up, that's not real. And I was like, oh, wait a sec. Like, it's obvious. So
we have now just offended at least 100 people. How do you call Surge?
No, I'm gonna be honest, I do not give two fucks, because IDW fans are some of again, I don't want to try to single them out too much, because every fandom has has the stupid people, and Sonic is definitely not an exception to it. But I have no respect for IDW fans, because honestly, so many of them have so much brain rot and are so willing to defend the series no matter what because they tied their fandom to it. And when you point this out, they will actually defend. They will actually agree with you without understanding it. Like I love this one person who ended up taking a screenshot of what I said of saying like mainly Sonic fans latch on to the series so badly because it's the only thing that keeps them invested in the franchise in between games. And one person literally comes out and goes, "Hey, if it wasn't for IDW Sonic, I wouldn't even be a fan." And I'm like, you do realize that agrees with me, right? Huh?
It's only up from here.
Uh,
Sorry, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I said like they don't realize that they were agreeing with me. So I'm like, I'm fine with defending all these IDW fans. I do not feel like giving them anything resembling respect.
Well, and if there are any IDW fans who have like an argument that isn't like a vapid thing, because that's obviously like what you're saying you're dealing with. You're talking about this. We're just gonna fucking.
Oh yeah, no. If anyone wants to try to come at like any type of rebuttal to me, feel free to message me to either go in the comments here or message me on Twitter. I am Twitter or Tumblr. Go for it. I'm LaviRay on everything.
And you can convince him because I fucking before Lav met me. He was also under the impression that all of Preboot was hot garbage, and I have gotten him up to the point of I will respectfully agree to disagree. But
no, I actually have some respect for it in some cases. So like, yeah, no, I am up for having my mind changed. I am not so stubborn to think that I'm the only that I can never be wrong. I am totally willing to admit that I can be wrong, but I'm also a big enough man to admit that I'm when everyone else in the room is wrong as well. But if you are a hardcore IDW fan, especially a Flynn fan, please feel free to message me on Twitter, on Tumblr, in the YouTube channel, on the YouTube comments. Go for it. I just don't really feel the need to try to like walk around eggshells around these kind of fans because I just no.
Yeah, because those are who you're dealing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, here's the thing. I know we have like 3 specials left to talk about.
Yeah.
But all of them just have the same problems as like the going on little adventures. So I guess if we just want to go like specific problems, right?
Okay. Before we move on, I gotta say something that I think is possibly controversial here.
Oh no.
I just want Surge and Kit to be redeemed because I don't find them convincing as antagonists. Like they already kind of fumbled the bag when they were introduced. And now they're trying to like cook some like, oh, we're actually evil, schemy villains. I just don't find it convincing. So can we just like speed run to their like, you know what? We hate you, but we don't want to just hurt people for fun because that's kind of boring. That's not our game. So let's just like we're now good guys as long as you feed us bread every week.
Yeah,
honestly,
I
don't know. No, like, here's the thing. I was originally going to try to like make a little bit more of a counter argument in universe, but I'm just gonna be blunt. I don't want them getting redeemed because I do not want this ideology that Flynn is trying to push with Sonic to get any type of validation.
I know, and it like sucks because I agree with you, but I just don't want to see these 2 losers be the antagonists because they suck.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. They suck as antagonists. My thing is, I was fine where they were in 57, where they just said, "Fuck all this shit, I'm out." And I think
honestly,
that's what
honestly, yeah. I obviously now hindsight is 2020. Like they didn't keep to that, but like honestly, I do wish they just kind of like booked out of the entire continuity. We're done now. Bye.
That's honestly what I want them to do. Here's what I want this story. I know this isn't how it's going to end, but this is how I want it to end. I want it to end with Clutch just completely either taking over or destroying the entire restoration. Surge and Kit end up realizing how everyone in the story is awful, and they do commit to just going, fuck all this shit. We don't have any ill will towards Sonic anymore, but we also don't want to work with any of you fuckers anymore. We're out, and just leave the comic entirely. That would be the best ending for this, where everything gets wrecked, the restoration is gone, no more diamond cutters. They've just all disbanded, just realized that they're all fucking incompetent. They just leave, and we just move on from there.
At least, like hopefully, then Sonic will learn something.
There's a non-zero chance because Stanley, I don't think she writes Sonic better. No, I don't think she writes Sonic well, but I don't think she doesn't write him as much of a manipulative tool as Flynn does. So there's a non-zero chance he might learn. Okay, maybe don't don't let all of your antagonists into your secret base and give them a full tour of everything. Maybe that's a bad idea.
Also, last thing, because this kind of will come back into these one of these issues, the novel, whatever. I didn't realize this until like moments after I finished reading the issue. And it's not this issue. It's the one with Knuckles and the Chaotix. But Eggman is just back, and it's with like no fanfare.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing too. And also
Yeah.
like they're real again. Another example of like this comic's about nothing is that
Like-
Knuckles goes to Eggman and he's like, I haven't even finished scheming yet. Like he's fucking Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and it's like, yeah, nothing matters in this world.
Like I understand he wasn't dead. I'm not
Yeah.
stupid, but like I don't know. I would have
He got
expected them
nuked
to like.
basically it was got nuked. It was implied he got nuked out of the reality more or less. And it's like obviously he's going to be back, but it's like you think there'd be a little bit of fanfare when he coming back, but it's like no, he's just going to end up showing on screen like nothing. It's like what was the fucking point of this?
Like I don't know, like give me some cheesy like it's been months since Eggman has gone missing, and then he comes back and he's like, "Oh, you thought I was dead?" And everyone's like, "No, but we're not happy to see you." I don't know. Give me anything.
Yeah,
Like,
and again, yeah.
And the thing is, I would be fine with him being written as Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I would prefer him to be that
I would
because
I would totally 100% prefer Eggman, Boom Eggman over this, because
Yes.
I am sick and tired of the whole like, oh, he's got layers, the genocidal megalomaniac has layers. Like, no, fuck this cunt.
yes.
Screw him. I want him dead and 6 feet under. I don't care if he has a daughter. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So give me Boom Eggman. I'd rather that.
Okay, but so I think that covers everything with these stories. I do want to try to like marathon through these, like speed run these real quick. But anything you guys have anything else to say about this one?
No,
No.
and honestly, I don't have anything to say about these last three.
I'm
they're
happy.
just so boring.
I'm happy that this is funny. I like totally forgot that Belle existed.
Yeah,
And
same.
it was this issue that reminded me, like, oh yeah, that thing was a character.
Yeah, which sucks, man, because it's like again, Belle, you could have done literally put her in the Scrapnik arc. That would have been literally perfect for her. But
Yeah.
like
Oh,
like
yeah.
she just exists.
Like, I'm happy she's like now just a minor character because there wasn't really much going on anyway with her. But like, it's just funny to me because like she was such a pivotal character for like what 2 years maybe
A year. She was literally the main character for the book for a whole fucking year.
Yeah, she was like a main character for a year, and then she just poof gone. And I will say one like little, I guess, positive thing. There's like a funny interaction between Scourge and Whisper where she like holds her gun and she's like, "Do it, I dare you, shoot me." And she's like, "Oh, you all right, you bet." It's like, okay, you know what? This is an unironically good scene. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty good. I gotta throw a positive somewhere. Very negative. Yeah, that's about it. You guys.
All right, so I want to rip into this one real quick because I don't think this doesn't deserve too much time. But I'm like, I genuinely do kind of despise this issue because it does the one thing you're not supposed to. I see this happen a lot with female characters in particular when they're the leads of the story, where they'll have a conflict, but instead of the story being about them having to deal with the conflict, having to overcome it and grow through it in some way, instead it's about everyone else having to do their emotional labor instead. So like the whole point of this story is that Jewel is feeling lonely and doesn't feel like she's being disconnected from Tangle and is not being able to hang out with her as much. So instead of her like getting an opening to try to like bond with them, and actually trying to do what she can to try to rekindle that relationship, instead she relies on Sonic to be able to Sonic has to be the one to get, craft a situation for all four of them to go on a vacation. Sonic has to be the one to craft a situation to be able to get them all to connect with each other. And then even through all the Babylon Rogues, that whole contest and everything with that, and everything that happens with that, Tangle is the one that ends up pushing forward and saying like, "Hey, we haven't talked in a while. Do you want to try hanging out a little bit?" And Jewel just goes, "Yeah, sure." So even though she set this up as a conflict, she does nothing to actually push forward and actually resolve it. And considering the fact that she's already the most boring character imaginable, if you're going to go and make the story about her, actually try to do something with her to make her more proactive. But they can't even do that.
I just don't even know why they brought it back because she's literally just an NPC.
don't know either. It's weird. But yeah, so like I also, again, this is one of the reasons why I was really cynical about how this story ended with like, oh yeah, we have like, yeah, we just spent all this time hanging out and beating up all the bad guys, and they were trying to like destroy, basically rob and destroy everything. But we can all celebrate and have fun. It doesn't matter, because that's the exact same shit they end up doing here. Now, granted, this one I feel like is a little more justified, or at least more okay, because like it was just them like.
Oh yeah, it's just a beach issue. Yeah, I don't mind.
But here it's just like, why are we evoking this here? This doesn't make any fucking sense. So I get why you don't like these issues, Waffles. And to be clear, I'm not like singing their praises. I'm not gonna be singing their praises either. But I'm like, if we have to do Sonic stories and we can't do any major character development, any major character growth, we can't do like any over the top world building without pushing it through Sega, I would prefer this kind of tone where it's just more about putting the characters in wacky situations. My thing is just more, one, make sure that the story is actually driven and focused on a character and their motivation, and two, let's try doing something with a little bit of fantastical twist to it.
Yeah.
Instead of just normal ass volleyball, like. Like
right.
Hell, even like a Pan and Saki, when they did their volleyball thing, they at least try incorporating their powers and try and do something with that. But here's just like, you could literally do this story in any other franchise, and you wouldn't have to change anything.
Like in Phineas and Ferb, they built like this giant dome thing where they play like anti-gravity like football.
Mm-hmm. Or
like. Or maybe, as an example, like in the following two like stories, they do like one big special Winter Olympics thing, but like Eggman themed, which is unique. Yeah. Also, I gotta say this now. I don't know how many discussions ago it was. I know it was one of the IDW ones, but I always want these like more slice of lifey stories, and I think I've gone on record to say like I just like to see different sides of these characters who are usually always seen fighting and ending conflicts. So it's nice to see them like out of their normal environment kind of thing. But I gotta be honest, this story was so boring.
Yeah, it was. It really
like this is what I want, and I'm like, I want to be positive, but like I don't know what to say about it. It's Sonic and the original characters from IDW, and it's mostly about the boring one, the NPC. So it's like, well, there's nothing really here for me. It was cute. That's about it.
Yeah, very incredibly twee.
Yeah, I didn't even like the Babylon Rogue stuff. I actually thought that was really cringe. Which is why I don't know. I liked them more in the other issue with Knuckles. I don't know. I felt like they were better written there, as brief as it was. I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this one up really quickly. Like, I get it. This is a kid's comic, and I get it. They were just trying to they probably just want to pump something out for Halloween really quickly. Fair enough. If you want to go ahead and do a moral about not stealing, maybe don't do it on the holiday where the thing that they're stealing is literally the thing that everyone's getting handed out for free. Like, I don't really have anything else to say to that other than just like, this is a really stupid premise in and of itself.
It's goofy, but I don't know. I thought this one was really cute. I enjoyed it actually quite a bit. I loved a lot of the interactions and the banter. I like Tails. I like the costumes. I love how like Tails has this little cowboy outfit, and later on he says like it's cowboy in time or something.
Right. So you just thought it was like a nice little fluffy time.
Yeah, I yeah it's like this one. I don't know. Yeah, this whole thing was cute. I like the design of this weird villain dude. I know they're not going to be an important role, but like for a little self-contained thing, I thought they were like had a neat design. I will say, if I get a bit nitpicky and complaining, SBO got nothing to do in this. Like he was just there. I was expecting them to like drag this story out a bit, and like Vector gets a scene where he's like, "Oh, here's a clue." Then like Charmy gets a scene where he's like, "Only I can reach it because I can fly." And then SBO has to go like undercover to find some like thing. Like every character would have like a scene that makes them stand out and have an important role in the narrative. SBO is just there. he doesn't really offer anything.
Mm-hmm.
And to get like extremely nitpicky, like this is not like a it ruined in the book for me. It's just like I can't not think about these things because I am weird. Like the Free Kids pilot this weird, like fake makeshift like robot monster thing, and I don't know how those kids use those arms to like grab Sonic with such with such effectivity.
That's
But
their power. Super paper mache.
Yeah.
like I don't know how they're doing this, but lucky them, I guess. I don't know.
It's all plot. It's really just plot.
Yeah, I had a good time with this. Honestly, I thought it was cute. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I hope the writer of this gets to come back on more stuff because I enjoyed it very very much.
Maybe we'll work on like another annual.
Yeah, I enjoyed this and their costumes and stuff. It was great, a fun little Halloween time.
All right, and then what's the last one?
Winter Jam.
Okay, I'm gonna say this before we even start. This is the best thing to come out of IDW.
Awesome, go for it.
I don't know how to say this with your level of detail and tact, Waffles, but to me, this entire story feels like some kind of like this doesn't even feel like it came out of IDW. This feels like some passionate fan comic. Like that's how good this is. Like you could give this to a person that doesn't even know anything about IDW, like someone who's just a game fan, and they can pick this up and be like, "Oh, I enjoyed this because there's none of that comic stuff, and it's just a simple little side story with a bunch of characters I know on a goofy time in these wacky scenarios." And I gotta be honest, I love the whole thing, like the game show thing, with them like participating in these tasks, and like of course like three of them screw it up in one way or another, and then one of them wins, and we get these funny little like dialogue segments where they're all like being interviewed.
Well, the like the premise of it, like what they do is like they're able to do the thing that they always tell you to do in stories, which is like think of a scenario, and if all your characters react the same, then fix that, because what you want is that like that's what makes like conflict fun, or like even just ideas fun, is like how different people react to something. And so that what they do with this is like they create this like game show scenario, and all the characters just react to it in their own little unique ways, but they make that the punchline of like interview time, or like it's like you look at it and you go, oh boy, how is Sonic and Tails going to come up with their like snow sculpture? What's Big the Cat going to think of this thing? Or how are Omega and Rouge going to come up with something? And so there's that constant like probably like that feeling of like, ooh, what's next, because they're constantly giving you this idea of just like, again, like a very goofy scenario, and it's just like, how are they going to get out of this, or what since they're all kind of like competitive about it too, besides like Big, and that's also another contrast, right? Big's just kind of lackadaisically going through it, so you kind of get that that feeling of like, what's next. So I could totally understand why someone would really like it.
And I find the whole like anticlimactic like payoff at the end, like the reveal of like, oh yes, this Froggy, it was a robot the whole time. Guess what, folks? This was product placement for our newest line of Badnik. And it's all just like one big like advertisement with some like hypothetical to like mess with. And everyone's like,
it feels very much like they actually had an idea of like Orbot and Cubot just like kind of being the rap, like actually giving them like their laziness and their kind of like eccentricities. They kind of did this with one of the annuals where they had a little daycare camp, but the reason it kind of works for them as characters is that they are doing this purely for themselves, which then it kind of adds to this kind of like janky thing of like, oh, Orbot and Cubot are kind of the villains in a way. And like in the end they just like get the fucking Chaos Emerald, here you go. Fuck you.
Yeah, and it's like so good, like Cubot's got like these fake like sellotaped on eyebrows, and they change between shots, so it's like, I don't know, it's implied he takes
constantly
them off.
like getting new ones.
Yeah, he like keeps putting them off and on again just to shape them around in different directions.
Or using the wreaths as like target practice.
There's like a lot of good visual gags and reaction shots, like Sonic being dead inside.
They're also like taped on his face, like the little things. They give like little details. Like, I could totally, I definitely understand like the appeal of this one, especially like with the art too. Like they do a good job of actually
to to me, this feels like the closest thing this entire subsection of the Sonic franchise will come close to like another Champions arc. Like like in all of IDW, this is like IDW's Champions. And
what it has is it has that manic tone.
Yeah,
because
I
like
just wish we had more of this.
Yeah, like basically like what you're saying is like what this kind of embodies, and I agree, which is the idea of just like it just go, just like joke. And even if they don't all land, there's just like this kind of like a premise that allows for those things to like be good facing wise because you want it to go fast. And then two, like there's I think what it has that I do appreciate is that it has like an appeal to the absurdity or to the absurd, which a lot of IDW doesn't do. Like it doesn't want to play into its comedy. But this one, like you said, like it's like, oh, the Froggy is fake, and also he's like a product placement, or it's like he fucking blows up the ice, and then like we see you have like sexy Eggman or whatever. Like there's definitely like an appreciation for just going batshit insane with their premise, and like you said, taking these little details of like Orbot's little eyebrows and kind of like shifting them around, or even like at the very end they have these two little panels of like Orbot and Cubot, and they're just like anyway, fuck you, and they like click the button and they launch them all out. They're like, well, guess we got a snow day.
Like I genuinely believe I could recommend this to even like the strongest IDW critiquers because it's like so detached and it's so good that I do think I could recommend this to like all of the haters who think like, oh, all of IDW is awful. I was like, yeah, you're kind of right, but this thing right here, okay, you gotta read this. This one's good. This one's really good.
Fucking stupid. But like, but in an appreciative way.
So Mike Butchard, who wrote like the Halloween special, and Yasmin Omar Atta. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong. I hope these different writers. And that writer wrote Winter Gen. I hope they get to work on the Sonic comic more because I feel like they've shown that they have a lot of potential, and I loved Winter Jam, so I especially hope that Yasmin gets to come back. I also want to say, so this is like our quota for every single IDW discussion. The artwork is good.
Oh yeah, well, especially like the bubblegum color palette that I always call for IDW. It definitely fits this really well.
Yeah, I really dug the shading style here, where it's like I don't know how you describe it, like old fashioned comic booky style, where it's like all of the polka dots. Is that it?
Well, and they actually do stuff with the paneling. So, like for example, like they're trying to give this vibe of like the waviness, and so they have like the little wavy panels, and they're in the water, and then Sonic is on land, so it's squares. And then obviously they did like a really crazy thing with this one, where it's like he's literally like boop, 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 and then just fucking eats them. So like it has this like kind of like comedic value, and then like the panel literally is the water. So there's like a lot of creativity. I think also if you go up, there's the page where Orbot and Cubot are in their room, and the paneling is the like wires and cords. It's like right above this one, which that was also good. But there's like like the wires and cords or whatever. So it's kind of like it's coming out of the panel, like the ceiling, like in this room. So like they actually use the format of the comic to like tell jokes, which is what I've been fucking saying. You need to do this whole time. So
not only like the writing story is good, but like the artwork is especially good, which was done by Minho Kim. I think that's their name.
Yeah, Minho Kim.
Yeah, Minho Kim. Yeah, great job. Also, I love all of the little like Easter egg gags in like that first page on the big monitor. You got like Ian Jr., like one of the creators' OCs. You've got like the Murder of Sonic Mother and Conductor. You've got Barry and Gadget the Wolf. That's so awesome. And then in the following page, you get Mecha Sonic Mark III that will probably never be used. But
he's got fucking like pages on him, like they just use him as like a shelf.
Yeah, like right there. I love this entire book, and honestly, like if I could say one thing now, like as we begin to get towards the end of our discussion, is that please, after like a week that these images have kind of faded from your mind, consider reading Winter Jam. Like even if you're like the most diehard hater of IDW Sonic, like I don't know, I think you would like this if you love Sonic. I think it's detached enough that you could probably enjoy it as its own separate thing and have a good time with it. I just want to say, because I find this really funny, assuming it's not on screen and I've just missed it. The 900th special isn't here, and I wonder if it's because it's that bad and boring. Or am I wrong here?
Which part?
The 900th special.
Right, but where are you saying it's missing from? Oh, you mean for the video itself?
Yeah, is it missing in the tab section? Was it just that bad? Because I don't blame you. It was that bad for me when I read it.
Sorry, it's not here, not because it's that bad. It's just, how do I put it? It's kind of a different beast. If we want to try to talk about it at some point, that probably could be its own video because it's kind of, huh?
Like, here's the thing. I was kind of expecting us to talk about it, but I'm going to be honest. In the hypothetical that we were to, I actually have nothing to say about it because after like the first few scenes, I just lost track of what was going on because it was the same shit over and over. Even with the art style change, all that mattered to me was the backdrop. Oh, we're in the one place, Seaside Hill, I think. Now we're in Sandopolis. Now we're in not Sonic OVA, but it looks like Sonic OVA. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it's not the robot from Sonic OVA, but it looks kind of vaguely enough like the robot from OVA. and yeah, like the whole plot about like we gotta get the MacGuffin because it's out of control. Oh no! Like I just did not care, and I just lost track of what the plot was anymore because it was just the same thing over and over.
The plot was we need to just shuffle between every character imaginable, every major character in the story, just so we can just like pretend, just so we can do like, so we can pretend like this actual celebration makes any kind of sense.
Like for some kind of like big special about celebrating Sonic's past, it just felt very underwhelming. I want to say this because I just find it funny. No, I'm sorry, fans, but like I don't know why you're expecting Sally Acorn or like the Underground family or Techno to come back anytime soon. Like they don't care, and I'm pretty sure if they were brought back, they wouldn't be written the way you want them to be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, if to wrap it around, I guess I would say that 900th issue kind of is kind of like the perfect opposite of what this one is, where that one, its premise was Sonic moves a thing, and each scene he's going to talk to a new character, and that's it. And it's not building upon itself. It's not trying to. It's just hot potato, checking in with everybody. Hey, it's that character existing.
That's pretty much just it. There's really not much of a story to really talk about.
Yeah,
honestly, most of the interesting stuff is just talking about like how each writer ends up handling their own part of the story differently, which could be interesting. But I'd rather, if we talk about that, we can make it like its own thing.
I'd rather make that its own thing. So we're already 2 hours in. But
the nicest thing I could say about the 900th issue is that the different artists got to make their own cover, which is nice. It's nice seeing the artists get to do their own cover page. That was nice. That's like the only positive.
But what I wanted to say as far as it connecting to this is that I would say where Winter Jam succeeds is that its whole premise is just taking one idea and we're just going to stack on different layers of like absurdity and try to explore that one concept in as many fun ways as we can from the writer's perspective. Whereas it feels like it's going up. Whereas it feels like with the 900 special, it wasn't about like each writer topping each other or taking an idea from the previous writer and then going, oh, let's take this idea and do something with. It seemed like you just wanted to go for variety, and I think variety was very lacking. Whereas I feel like at least with Winter Jam, it felt like we're gonna try to just throw as much stupid shit as possible on this one premise until it explodes at the very end, and then we have like, fuck you, here's your Chaos Emerald, get out. So like it kind of has that irreverent charm. Whereas the 900 issue is just kind of business as usual, but hey, I guess it's cool that the Sonic the comic writer got to write. Like that's kind of it. So I would say like that's kind of a good comparison for the two.
Yeah, I think I summarized it pretty well. But you guys have anything else to say about Winter Jam?
No.
I think I've said everything I want to. It's a great comic, and I think that everyone should check it out once these visuals have faded, so it's a mostly fresh experience.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. We'll go ahead and wrap this up here. But do you guys have any thoughts about where IDW is going to be heading from here on out?
I know they're going to a cave. So like next
Mystic Cave.
next issue they're going to a cave and they're going to find something. So I don't know if that's going to. We haven't come back to the search.
Is that actually just the premise?
Yeah.
Yes.
No. You thought I was joking?
No,
No,
I
he's
thought
not.
you were
He's
like,
not.
I thought you were like being like very snarky, like, oh, they find something.
No, read it to him, my
Yeah.
friend.
When Sonic and Tails go to test out Tails' new Extreme Gear design, they run into extreme trouble. The board malfunctions at just the wrong time, plunging them down into a deep cave. What's waiting for them down there? And will it help them get out of there or keep them there forever?
Ooh.
Do you know what would be really funny?
What?
If what they found was just another Echidna relic.
They're like, Knuckles, this is a part of your plot line you've been getting. See? We want you in the comic, buddy. Please, dear God, come back. Please. We want to hang out with you. Oh. Yeah. No, I have no fucking clue. I mean, obviously we're going to I mean I guess the real thing to place bets on is, does Surge get redeemed, or does she stay a villain but she's conflicted?
Oh, internal conflict. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I know the numbers are going to be against me right now, but I do want to try seeing if the comic does end up getting canceled before it comes back. Because after this issue, we're going on a 4-month hiatus.
Yeah, because we're doing Knack the Weasel.
Yep.
Yeah, baby, Knack the Weasel. That's his
Hopefully-
name.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's getting
That's
like
his
4
name.
fucking issues. So hopefully that's good. I don't like they're really excited about this because like you would think it would just be like, oh, like, you know, like the Sonic classic story where it's like, oh, you just get like a one shot. But no, it's like a whole series dedicated to Fang the Sniper and like his goon.
Right.
So,
Sonic did a good job, mate.
Fang the Hunter. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no Sonic for a while.
Yeah. So they might get something. So we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe something will be announced by like maybe by February or March, but we'll keep an eye out. On the plus side, I guess, Flynn says that he's not going to be that was that issue 67. That this is going to be his last issue on the book for quite some time.
Is he?
Ooh, hope that means we get some fresh blood in this.
he doing
No,
Okay.
Stanley's writing. No, Stanley's going to be taking over writing full time.
Oh, it's just the Stanley show now again.
Yep.
Oh well, I wish you the best because.
So
Cool.
my thing is, even if the comic does come back, I feel like the series is going to get way less defenses for it because people only really seem to like really want to talk about it or defend the series when Flynn's writing it, not when Stanley.
Well, yeah. 'cause
I-
he's the
like, I
writer
don't-
for games now. So
Like, I don't even want to be mean, but like, yeah, no, like that is actually how people act.
I mean, the most thing Stanley ever got right was LANOLIN throwing Whisper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. So, you guys have any other thoughts about anything with these stories or anything else going with IDW in the future?
nope. No, I think that's a good wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us as usual.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do have one last thing because I forgot to bring this up during this issue. So, one of the things. So again, like I said, Flynn continuing to try to do this whole redemption bullshit here just doesn't work for so many reasons. Not only in terms of how it's how it's being applied and just completely disrespects the character, how it's being invoked in the most cynical way possible. But I think the thing that a lot of fans try to latch back onto, where it's like, well, he has redeemed his villains before, also kind of misses the fucking point. Because one, Sonic didn't quote unquote redeem any of these characters. And I really just want to try driving that home a little bit. Blaze was not redeemed. At both, they just realized that they were both fighting for the same. They were both fighting for the same thing. It was just Blaze being antisocial for a little bit and ultimately getting over herself. Silver was being tricked by someone else, but then decided to come back. But then once he realized he was being tricked, they decided to work together and realized that they were fine. Knuckles, Shadow, basically, more or less the same thing. But when it comes to Surge, even if we try going with the idea of her being brainwashed, she's not in the same category as these guys. And trying to have Sonic come back in and just rely on the idea of like, oh yeah, I fought plenty of my other characters and we've become best friends, so you can do the same thing. Again, just shows this severe amount of disrespect that both Sonic as well as the writers have towards the character. And again, as someone who doesn't like Surge, I don't think this is the worst way to try to write how to have a character do a redemption arc. Hell, even Steven Universe for all the justified ripping into he gets for trying to redeem or trying to rehabilitate space Nazis. Even he was of the idea of like, you guys need to try doing this, and actively was trying to do things to convince them how they were wrong, not trying to emotionally manipulate them into being the right perspective, into being the quote unquote correct perspective, especially while monologuing about freedom in the process. So again, this is just me repeating Sonic is a douchebag in this series, but just giving another context about how this is not a good defense for it. But yeah, that was my last bit.
And I guess the last thing I'll say is that at the very least, we've seen Evan kind of subvert Flynn's setup like 2 times now. So who knows? Maybe she'll go in an interesting direction with Sonic. That's all I can really hope. She seems to be willing to just kind of do whatever the fuck she wants. So
yeah, I just hope the comic somehow gets better. I know that's a lot to ask. I just come on, guys. We're like probably gonna get to 100 issues sooner or later if it doesn't get canceled. So like, can we get better, please?
Yeah, that is.
Like,
where are we at now? What's the number?
68.
60, yeah, 68.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we hit like 75, that would have been like an Archie, Robo Robotnik would have returned. So yeah, just like a bunch of crazy stuff would have happened in Archie by then. But then like in this comic, it just kind of seems like we spin our wheels. Nothing ever happens.
Yep.
Yeah, I need Daniel Barnes, Mike Butchard, and Yasmin to cook more. I need them to come back. I need them to work on more stuff because they're really talented, and I want to see them what they're capable of more.
Yeah, like see them expand their ideas, see what they can come up with.
Maybe you could get another Winter Jam, except like the cast is more like mixed up, so like it's not as formulaic with like Sonic and Tails, Rouge and Rouge and Omega, like, and we get some like unique group ups next time. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that was like my only major. That's like one of my major complaints about one of my major criticisms about this story is like, it seems like they were just trying to do heroes over again, and I'm like, no, guys, if we're going to try doing a premise like this, have some fun, shuffle the characters around a little bit. Whereas like and this should not just be for this premise; it should just be in general. Like,
I didn't mind it as a special. I didn't mind it as a special, but no, I totally agree. Maybe if we get like another one, hypothetically, we should get that, and that'd be awesome.
Or just like the series in general. It's like, yeah, like mix and match the characters,
Yeah, like I'm all for Sonic and Tails being bros. Like I genuinely do hate that part in Frontiers, but I am all for the idea of like Sonic and Tails having like their brother relationship. But when it comes to like the stories where it's like, hey, they're in this weird situation, shuffle the characters out a little bit so we can like show us some different dynamics and try expanding on the characters in different ways. Like imagine Sonic having to work off of like Rouge or having to work
Omega
something. Yeah. Instead of
Cream and Omega.
Yeah, exactly.
or like one of them or like Rouge gets stuck with Froggy. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And at the very end, she realizes that it's a weapon, and she's like, "This is the greatest fucking thing." Now I know why he hangs out with you. I know why the big guy hangs out with you, Mr. Frog.
Yeah, no, it'd be awesome. Like let them cook.
Or maybe like Tails would be with Big, and it'd be like, we have to climb this thing, right? And it's like, oh, don't worry, Big. Like I mean, I don't mean to be rude. I don't know if I can carry you. And then Big is like, don't worry, I've got it. He just fucking chucks Tails.
Yeah.
Like this, see what I mean? Like the potential is there.
You could put Sonic and Omega together, and since the Sonic, his whole thing is that he's a very good boy, allegedly. He could be like, hey Omega, like, we want to work together, and then like Omega's like, no, and just fucking blows things up. And then it's like as they keep going, Sonic is getting like, they keep cutting to an interview, and he's like, slowly his quills are getting more and more like ragged because he's like, Omega, he's a bit hard to work with, but we're getting things together. And we like go to the next thing, they lose, and it's like, okay, it's not his fault, like he's programmed different, he's built different, it's fine. And then like we get to the last round, he's like, Omega, I will fucking kill you if you do not get this right. If we lose in the snowman building competition, my ego will be fucking shattered. So you need to get this right.
And then he turns around and realizes that the camera's on him.
Yeah, or Sonic is like, you know what? Stand back. I've got this. And he makes like a little snowman, and then like it breaks, and he just like breaks, and he's like, what am I even worth? Am I really a hero? And it's like it turns to Omega, and he's just like, is this what you wanted? And he makes something beautiful, and he's like, how did you do that? It's like, bro, I'm a murdering machine. My whole thing is an art form. It's like that doesn't even make any sense. Thank you, Omega. Like, you just do so much, you know.
Yeah.
We had more fun talking about this hypothetical story than reading 10 issues of the book.
Yes, we did.
Well, what a great time.
All right, that's all, folks.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and wrap that up here. Like, yes. All right, we'll go ahead and end on that high note. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out today. Coming out today and talking to me about this comic. Hopefully, we'll be doing a newer upload in the near future, trying to go for something a little different, but we'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out today. Want to plug your channels?
Yeah, I'm Ian Waffles. You can find me on YouTube at Ian Waffles, where I've made an Archie Sonic analysis video, and I'm still making Archie Sonic analysis videos on the channel Lowart. That's LOWART. So, and we're collaborating to make those. So if you want to hear more about like Archie Sonic and its highs and lows and everything between, you can check out those. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for having me as usual.
And right. I'm Derpaduh. You can find me over at YouTube at Derpaduh and over on Twitter at 2Derpaduh. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you guys so much. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Ciao.